Once, there was a man who was known by a single, ultimate title, the strongest. With a mane of untamed hair and a knowing smile, he stood at the apex. Hailed as a sword saint and god, he sought a final challenge for his blade. His opponent, a dying dragon god, acknowledged his magnificent feat with its last breath. The swordsman looked down upon his final conquest, stating that victory was his. The ancient dragon confirmed it, agreeing that the victory was undoubtedly the humans'. He wondered aloud if this meant he had finally reached the true summit of swordsmanship. The dragon stated that by slaying a god, he had proven it, and it was satisfied. Therefore, the dying god posed a final, momentous question: did he have a wish? The dragon insisted on granting a wish, as he had satisfied its own desire. He refused, stating he was about to die and had no lingering desires left. But the dragon offered a path he had never known, the arcane power of magic. It was a path from a lost world, a road he had never walked. The dragon proposed a different story altogether, one that began with a new life. The swordsman finally understood, asking if this was the dragon god's wish for him. A young boy bolted awake, his eyes wide with the shock of a lifetime of memories. He stared at his small, unfamiliar hands, so different from the warriors he remembered. Lying back, the realization settled over him with a quiet finality: he remembered everything. The persistent feeling of wrongness that had shadowed his young life finally made sense. He understood now with perfect clarity: he had been reincarnated into this new world. The past was the past, an unchangeable fact that was the past was the past, a small, knowing smile touched his lips as he accepted his new reality. He sat up, his mind already moving forward to the day's important event, his 6th birthday. This was the day he had been waiting for, the day of the skill appraisal. In this world, a person's potential was defined by innate, visualized talents called skills. The appraisal was a rite of passage, a judgment that would determine his entire future. A soft voice called out to him, wishing her big brother a good morning. He turned to see his younger sister, Rina, her face bright with a gentle smile. With a playful wink, she wished him a happy birthday and patted his head affectionately. He smiled, telling her he would do his best, though it was out of his hands. Walking together, Rina noted he wasn't nervous, and he agreed he was simply excited. She mused that with his brilliance, awakening 3 or 4 special skills was entirely possible. But he had only one goal in mind: at long last, he could finally learn magic. His one desire, carried from a past life, was to finally wield magic. He eagerly awaited the end of the skill appraisal, the gateway to his goal. His sister, Rina, wished him well, excited to see the magic he would perform. And so, the time for his judgment had finally arrived. He faced his appraisal with confidence, wondering what skills fate would grant him. But the result left him utterly stunned, his confidence shattering in an instant. He asked his mother to repeat her words, unable to believe what he had heard. She delivered the devastating verdict: he possessed not a single skill, no talent at all. Her frustration was palpable, her gaze as sharp and unforgiving as the verdict she gave. Even so, he clung to his dream, declaring his unwavering desire to use magic. She offered a hollow promise to teach him herself, her smile hiding deep disappointment. Her clenched hands betrayed her true regret over his unfortunate fate. His sister Rina collapsed in grief, crushed by the news of his talentlessness. But he had already dismissed the world's judgment, finding solace in the forest. He ventured deep into the woods, leaving the stifling manor and its rules behind. With a wooden stick as his only companion, he sought a new purpose. He found a new opponent, a colossal tree, deciding it was more than enough. The ancient tree stood before him, a silent testament to the challenge he now faced. He recalled his tutor's praise, knowing he was never a genius, merely experienced. His prodigious learning was not talent, but the simple fact that he already knew. He was just a man with a past life's knowledge in a young body. For a moment, he despaired, realizing his dream of magic might now be impossible. But he refused to give up, searching for any sliver of possibility. He remembered a lesson: a lack of skills was not definitive proof of no talent. There were even records of the skillless defeating those with great talent. Even if it was an exception to the rule, that was all he needed. An exception meant a possibility, and he would seize it with everything he had. He gripped his simple wooden stick, his resolve hardening into action. He would challenge this new world's rules just as he once challenged a god. His weapon was not a divine blade, but a simple, broken piece of wood. His opponent was a colossal tree that had stood for countless centuries. The boy who defied gods and fate prepared to strike his first blow. His mother's damning words echoed, the final judgment he was determined to shatter. He lamented his lack of a swordsmanship skill, a judgment passed by this new world. This incomprehensible system of skills was utterly useless to a master like him. With a ferocious cry, he swung the flimsy stick, which shattered under his immense power. Ethereal text revealed his true abilities, principles like God Slayer and his ultimate Zantetsuken. A knowing smile crossed his face as he finally understood the nature of his power. A perfect, impossibly clean line appeared across the trunk of the colossal ancient tree. He mused that with this power, perhaps even he could finally learn to use magic. The great tree crashed to the ground with a deafening roar, his goal now clear. A paper materialized, declaring him the world's strongest, a vessel of the divine realm. The divine script confirmed his soul was complete, unable to grow beyond its current perfection. He pondered how to use magic, accepting that this physical toll was only natural. The immense exertion was too much for his young body, and he collapsed unconscious. From the shadows, a young girl heard the sound, her private moment suddenly shattered. Parting the leaves, she peered into the clearing, realizing the sound came from over there. Her eyes widened in disbelief at the impossible scene of destruction that lay before her. Looking over the felled giant, she recognized the collapsed boy below and called his name. The invincible swordsman now longed for magic in this strange new world he inhabited. Elsewhere, a girl stood alone in the forest, lamenting that she was a failure. Still, she was glad she came to the infamous magic forest, where no one would see. Her solitude was shattered by a sudden, thunderous crash that ripped through the woods. She whirled around in terror, wondering what could have made such a horrifying sound. Deciding she had to see for herself, she cautiously made her way toward the disturbance. She arrived at a clearing to find a massive, ancient tree lying on the ground. Peeking from behind a trunk, she confirmed the sound had been the tree falling. She had chosen this feared, demon-infested forest specifically to be alone. Why now? She nervously scanned the area, her senses on high alert for any sign of danger. She wondered if it was an attack, but quickly dismissed the thought as unlikely. She saw the clean cut, realizing it wasn't natural, and demanded to know who was there. A sudden paranoia seized her as she frantically told the unseen presence to stay away. In her haste and panic, she tripped over an exposed root, tumbling to the ground. Overwhelmed with embarrassment, she covered her face and let out a mortified apology. As she recovered, her eyes fell upon a small, still figure lying in the leaves. Leaning over him, she called out, finally asking if the unresponsive boy was dead. The boy stirs, startling the girl. He groggily chides her for assuming he was dead. The girl furiously demands an explanation for his bizarre, twitching collapse. Midgar calmly explains it's difficult to articulate, a technique from a past life. The strain of his old power was too much for his small, untrained body. She suspiciously asks what he was doing here, but he has no reply. He simply states the obvious, he has collapsed from exhaustion on the ground. She questions if he's truly incapacitated, he confirms only his mouth can move. His casual plan to sleep it off for a day enrages the girl. She internally debates, thinking this suspicious boy is someone she shouldn't get involved with. Yet, despite her better judgment, she cannot bring herself to abandon him. With a sigh of resignation, she offers her shoulder to help him stand. She insists it's only because she has no choice, demanding he be grateful. Midgar offers a sincere and heartfelt thank you for her unexpected kindness. His polite gratitude completely flusters her, and she complains he's too close. As she helps him, she can't help but wonder who this strange boy is. He leans heavily on her, completely defenseless in the dangerous magic forest. She scolds him for being so heavy, and he quietly apologizes for the trouble. Later, Midgar awakens in his own bed, realizing he made a mistake. A wave of muscle pain reminds him of the power his body couldn't contain. He reflects on his good fortune, the girl's appearance truly saved his life. He regrets not learning her name, vowing to thank her properly if they meet. A soft knock at his door announces the arrival of an unexpected visitor. A woman with long, flowing reddish-brown hair steps gracefully into the room. She is Camilla Hennifer, the family's personal skill appraiser, here to check on him. Camilla approaches his bedside, observing that his complexion seems to have improved. When she asks if he has any problems, he replies only with boredom. She offers a wry smile, unable to help with his current predicament. He assures her that her diligent daily visits are more than enough comfort. His words seem to strike a chord, and a melancholy look crosses her face. He suddenly realizes his mother has not visited since the first day of his recovery. Camilla seems troubled, then asks if he would like her to give him assignments. She is surprised by his request, remembering she is now his home tutor. She worries about his curriculum, but he dismisses her concerns entirely. He declares his singular interest is magic, the one thing he hasn't been taught. The topic of magic gives her pause, as she ponders what she can teach. His eyes gleam with purpose as he asks for any information about magic. A small, knowing smile spreads across her face as she understands his goal. She agrees to prepare some assignments for him, much to his delight. A genuine smile of anticipation lights up his face. His true quest begins. Camilla watches him, a newfound sense of purpose settling upon her. A week passes, bringing with it a profound change for them both. With a triumphant shout, Midgar declares his complete and total recovery. He stretches his arms to the ceiling, his young body brimming with energy. It's still early morning, and he quickly dresses. He rolls up his sleeves, a determined look setting on his features. He decides to start with his daily routine to get his body back in shape. He heads outside, his boots crunching on the fallen leaves of the forest. He grips a simple wooden sword, the familiar weight a comfort in his hands. Nearby, Camilla sighs, feeling that tutoring him is more troublesome than she imagined. She reflects that all of this began with the fateful day of his skill appraisal. She had only performed her duty, but she could never accept the outcome. That single verdict sent his life spiraling, from heir to an unforgivable existence. She laments that if not for the rigid doctrines, his fate would be different. A memory of a happy family portrait shows the life he was meant to live. Consumed by guilt, she had volunteered to take over as his personal tutor. But the task proved impossible. He had already mastered a decade's worth of studies. She felt utterly useless, unable to teach the brilliant but despised young boy. Shaking off her despair, she resolves that overthinking the situation is pointless. Her reverie is broken as Midgar appears silently beside her, startling her. He greets his teacher casually, remarking on their coincidental meeting in the woods. She stammers, returning the question and demanding to know why he is here. He calmly explains he is merely completing his daily training routine. She reminds him his mother explicitly forbade him from venturing this far. He cheekily admits he was told, but has no recollection of ever agreeing. She starts to argue but then stops, realizing a more important point. She points out he's under house arrest and guarded. How did he get out? He simply explains that he hid from the guards and slipped out easily. His easy escape leaves her speechless and questioning the estate's security. She concedes that the house must feel suffocating for him in his situation. Changing the subject, she invites him to join her for some training. He eagerly accepts, admitting he's become interested in her own daily practice. He explains it's just simple practice swings, nothing particularly special. The simplicity of his routine surprises the highly skilled warrior. He offers to critique her form, claiming mastery with a spear. With a sharp motion, he assumes a perfect, ready stance with his stick. He watches her critically, offering a simple yet profound observation on her form. A competitive spark ignites in her eyes as she calls out his name. Seizing the opportunity, she suggests they have a light sparring match. She brandishes her battle-ready polearm, promising to be gentle with him. He accepts her terms with a calm, knowing smile, ready for the challenge. With a confident grin, she invites him to make the first move. In the next instant, her confident expression shatters into pure disbelief. She finds herself on the ground, completely baffled as to how she got there. Soma looks down, mildly disappointed that she was holding back so much. He remarks that their exchange couldn't even be dignified with the term spar. Breathless and bewildered, she tries to laugh it off, unsure of what happened. She blames her lapse on a lingering illness, an excuse he readily accepts. Her pride as a warrior is ignited. She underestimated the skillless boy. She declares they will now have a proper match, her genius-level skill ready. He agrees, stating this is exactly what a skillless child would ask for. A shimmering aura envelopes his stick as he utters a single, chilling word. A wave of pure terror washes over Camilla's face as she feels his power. Her grip tightens. She had only intended to humor him, to play around. But the playful atmosphere has evaporated, replaced by a palpable sense of danger. A colossal, spectral dragon of pure energy manifests behind the small boy. Every instinct, honed by years of combat, screams a single, undeniable truth. She knows she must unleash her full power, regardless of his status. Soma watches her resolve harden, his own expression becoming deadly serious. She prepares to face not a boy, but a true and terrifying swordsman. The stage is set for a battle that will shatter her entire worldview. Soma stands ready, a calm smile on his face, prepared for the coming storm. Camilla's playful demeanor vanished, replaced by a feral grin as she declared her turn. She slammed her massive polearm into the ground, shattering the earth with its impact. With a furious expression, she gave him one final warning: do not regret this. A shockwave of dust and debris erupted, rushing towards the seemingly unconcerned Midgar. She unleashed her true power, her divine skills materializing as ethereal text around her. In a blur of motion, she launched forward, beginning a furious series of attacks. The relentless assault continued, a whirlwind of steel aimed to overwhelm and destroy him. Her blade crashed down, but Midgar had already moved, her eyes wide with surprise. She brought her weapon down in a mighty overhead cleave, a truly devastating blow. Midgar met the attack with his flimsy stick, his expression calm and almost curious. Her masterclass spearmanship was being effortlessly countered, a fact she couldn't comprehend. She unleashed a flurry of strikes, but he parried every single one with impossible ease. Her inner thoughts screamed that this entire situation was completely and utterly absurd. She wondered what level of skill could possibly block her attacks with a mere stick. Midgar's confident smirk was the perfect picture of the skill-less boy besting a master. Camilla's confidence shattered, her expression shifting to one of pure, shocked disbelief. She realized with frustration that there was an absolute, fundamental gap between them. Midgar stood his ground, calmly waiting as she prepared another powerful, sweeping attack. With a ferocious scream, she activated her war cry, her battle focus intensifying. She began to spin, entering the chaotic, all-encompassing whirlwind of her wild dance. Her spinning polearm became a vortex of destruction, an attack meant to obliterate everything. The boy stood firm in the face of the storm, deflecting the chaotic assault. A bead of sweat traced her brow. She knew this couldn't be called an even match. She realized the terrible truth: the key difference between them was their weapons' reach. Midgar explained that he had used her weapon's length to force her on the defensive. The tactical revelation hit her like a physical blow, her face a mask of horror. Her expression twisted, her eyes burning with a new, desperate, and pained resolve. A tragic memory surfaced of a young girl, a friend, collapsing in the pouring rain. That past failure now fueled her final, desperate charge against the boy before her. She remembered how the weight of that sin had led her to become a skill appraiser. It was her friend, Sophia, who had always reached out, knowing her pain. With a final, guttural roar, she pushed her power far beyond its normal limits. Her ultimate strike descended, a cataclysmic blow that Midgar met without flinching. Camilla's face twists in a grimace of regret and desperate resolve. Soma sees the weight of her past failures driving her actions now. She believes if the skill appraisal is fallible, then Soma can be saved. The result that condemned him must be proven to be a terrible mistake. Their weapons meet in a final, decisive clash of wills. Her inner voice screams that she must be defeated by him for his sake. Soma acknowledges her silent plea, accepting the weight of her desperation. He moves past her guard, his simple wooden stick glowing with power. Camilla's eyes widen in shock as her entire worldview begins to shatter. A small, knowing smile plays on Soma's lips. He has understood her heart. She realizes her fatal error an instant too late, her plan backfiring. The arc of his swing carries an impossible, incandescent energy. The hardened steel head of her prized polearm shatters like glass. Crying out in shock and pain, Camilla's body finally gives out. The exertion is too much, and she begins to pitch forward. She collapses, landing ungracefully face-first on the forest floor. Utterly defeated, she can only groan from her position in the dirt. She glares up at him, muttering his name in complete exasperation. Soma calmly notes it's uninteresting for him to be the one left standing. Pushing herself up, she asks if his movements faltered from muscle pain. He admits that he did, in fact, get a little distracted during their bout. She complains that he made her overexert herself when she wasn't recovered. With a grin, Soma declares that he's just getting warmed up for more. Annoyed, Camilla declares that she's had enough and won't be joining him. She claims their break is over and it's time to return to their duties. Soma calls her victory claim a cheap shot, but agrees to her terms. With a sly smile, she simply says, "My bad," ending the argument. She then demands he stop leaning on her, complaining that he's been heavy. She erupts, telling him he needs to learn some manners around a lady. Announcing her departure, she warns him not to wander into the deep woods. As she leaves, she tells him not to be late, he knows not to worry. Alone, Soma reflects that he still has a long way to go to regain his focus. A voice from the trees asks if he truly thinks he is useless. Soma calmly tells his hidden observer that there is no longer any point in hiding. Startled, the girl peeks from behind a tree, asking how he possibly knew she was there. He simply says he just noticed, an answer that only leaves her more confused. Soma casually notes that it has been precisely 1 week since their last encounter. He looks at her sincerely, wishing to properly thank her for saving his life. Flustered by his formal gratitude, she insists that he really doesn't need to thank her. Having offered his thanks, Soma realizes something important is still missing between them. He has forgotten to ask for her name. She claims there was no need for names during their chaotic first meeting. Soma gently insists that now, however, it has become necessary for him to know. He introduces himself as Soma, telling her to call him whatever she likes. He adds that even a fake name would be fine if she is uncomfortable. Taking a deep breath, the girl finally makes her decision. She introduces herself as Aina, echoing his own words back to him. Soma immediately calls her Aina, and she is shocked by his casual directness. He innocently asks if she didn't just tell him to call her what he liked. She stammers that it's not exactly forbidden, unable to articulate her embarrassment. Trying to match his confidence, she declares that she will also call him Soma. He calmly continues their conversation, once again addressing her simply as Aina. He asks what's wrong, and she tells him to just get on with it. He genuinely cannot comprehend why his directness seems to have upset her so much. He sincerely offers to help her with any troubles she might have. He explains this is his way of repaying her for saving him a week ago. She brushes it off, saying she only helped him because she wanted to. He counters that he will thank her and repay her of his own free will. His clever logic breaks through her defenses, and she laughs with genuine amusement. Seeing her bright smile, Soma pauses, a new thought occurring to him. He tells her that he has been thinking something ever since they first met. He bluntly states that a smiling face is much more suitable for her. He clarifies his point, telling her she is much cuter when she smiles. She demands to know on what basis he could possibly be calling her cute. He insists it's an objective fact, as she begs him to stop. Back at the manor, Camilla lets out a long, exhausted sigh. Soma asks his weary teacher what's wrong. She reflects on her pointless worrying. In the ducal study, Camilla questions if Midgar has truly read every book. Overwhelmed, she slumps, realizing the prodigious boy has finished them all. Her entire perception of her young student begins to shift dramatically. She asks what is going on, but Midgar casually deflects her question. Composing herself with a sigh, Camilla declares the lesson will now begin. She places a book down, deciding to start with the house's history. Midgar correctly clarifies that she means to teach geography and history. Camilla suggests they begin their lesson with the nearby magic forest. She points out that he seems to frequent that particular location. She then asks him if he knows the origin of the forest's name. The forest, she explains, is a dangerous borderland with the demon tribes. She quickly adds that this is ancient history, not an invitation to visit. Midgar asks if it is true that demons are no longer seen there. She confirms it is peaceful now, though a strange presence lingers. Midgar finds it curious that such a fine manor exists so remotely. He logically concludes their family must be border lords guarding the frontier. His startlingly accurate deduction leaves his new tutor completely speechless. She stammers, shocked he knows this, as she has not taught noble ranks. He nonchalantly replies that he simply pieced the information together. She assumes he overheard it, as he notes this world's similarities to his last. She asks what he knows of demons, envisioning a terrifying monster. However, she states that the common, simple understanding is a lie. He wonders if they are demi-humans or perhaps some kind of heretics. She explains they are various groups who were exiled from human society. He understands they formed hostile nations out of a need to coexist. She agrees, then asks if something is amiss, noticing his expression. She finally begins to understand the true nature of her brilliant student. His uncanny insight and vast knowledge were completely unexpected. She realizes his former tutors quit because they were simply outmatched. She recalls her own combat experiences, which had proven their power. She continues, explaining the nature of the demons he had asked about. Their danger is certain, and their skills are estimated to be high level. Based on her experience, fighting them requires at least an intermediate skill. Midgar finds a contradiction in her words and voices his thoughts. He argues that a high skill rank does not always equal true strength. He suggests that unknown techniques or other factors must be involved. He concludes the kingdom must be intentionally suppressing other powers. His damning theory hits her with the force of an undeniable truth. She explains the system was a tool for a poor nation to allocate talent. Midgar quietly acknowledges the cold, efficient logic behind such a system. He understands why a skillless heir to a border lord is unacceptable. Camilla admits that he has every right to resent her for her verdict. He is genuinely confused, asking why he should feel any resentment. She explains that had she been dishonest, his life would not be ruined. He dismisses this, finding it unreasonable to resent her for her honesty. He states with complete sincerity that none of it truly matters to him. She exclaims that this was a pivotal moment that changed his entire life. He calmly repeats that his only true interest has always been magic. A knowing smile touches his lips as he presents a new perspective. He suggests he should be grateful, leaving her completely baffled by his words. Being freed from his duties allows him to dedicate himself fully to magic. His bizarre logic leaves her staring, her entire worldview shaken. After a moment of stunned silence, she finally understands his reasoning. A slow, genuine smile spreads across her face as she accepts his view. She agrees to honor his wish and help him find a way to learn magic. From the Grand Manor, Midgar celebrates his successful negotiation. 1 year later, Midgar shouts in frustration at his lack of progress. The canopy of the magic forest remains unchanged by his tireless efforts. He practices his forms in the clearing, observed by a seated Aina. Aina notes that nothing is happening, and he groans in agreement. She thinks to herself that she has seen this exact scene over 100 times. He admits his research has stalled. She agrees it is a difficult task. He states he never expected magic to be easy, so this is within his plans. Aina repeats his words, her expression showing her clear skepticism. She wonders how he continues without results. He says he enjoys the process. His answer seems to trouble her deeply, her hands clenching in her lap. She asks if he truly believes there is any meaning in fruitless effort. He counters that if meaning requires success, then all failure is meaningless. She seems to agree, thinking that such effort is ultimately pointless. He concedes that by her definition, his training is indeed meaningless. But he insists that finding value in the effort itself is another story. He explains that judging something solely by its final result is a narrow view. He reflects that the world is full of things with unseen, intrinsic value. Aina is confused, admitting she can't quite grasp his philosophical point. He simply acknowledges her confusion, shouldering his practice stick. He decides to offer a concrete example, pointing with his stick. Aina listens intently, her expression neutral as she waits for his point. She suddenly understands his meaning, shouting in surprise as it clicks. He is certain his daily routine holds value, and she asks what it is. He explains that its value lies in deepening the bond between them. His sincere words cause her to blush furiously, completely flustered. She shouts at him, demanding to know what he is talking about. He smiles, thinking their daily meetings have become a welcome routine. She accuses him of making a fool of her yet again with his teasing. He notes that her open expression means he has finally earned her trust. She is taken aback, wondering how he knew what she was thinking. She admits she was guarded because she did not know him well. She realizes he was patiently waiting for her to lower her defenses. He agrees, saying they couldn't have a proper conversation otherwise. She smiles, admitting she'd be wary of a suspicious person like her too. He clarifies that he personally does not find her suspicious at all. She insists he must have noticed that something has been wrong with her. She knows he was simply curious about the source of her troubles. He asks if she is unable to resolve the issue on her own. She explains that she also underwent her skill appraisal as a child. With a pained expression, she reveals that the appraisal was a failure. He asks if a failure meant she was found to be skill-less like him. She clarifies that, on the contrary, the result itself was excellent. She reveals she possesses a rare and powerful special-grade magic skill. He misunderstands, asking if she's boasting, which she quickly denies. Soma dismisses the idea of Aina being a failure as a mere joke. A single tear traces a path down her cheek, revealing her deep pain. She recalls how everyone celebrated her special-grade magic skill at first. That joy lasted only until they discovered a devastating, hidden truth. She confesses to him that she is completely unable to use magic. This is despite the fact that she was born with the powerful skill. Soma finds this very strange, as skills should be usable immediately. He remembers Camilla's lesson on this country's primitive magic studies. Aina sadly accepts that this strange inability is why she is a failure. Soma, ever the analyst, asks for the specific details of her failure. She struggles to find the words to describe her unique problem. Deciding to demonstrate, she tells him it feels something like this. Her eyes focus, her special-grade skill and Demon Lord's protection flaring. A tiny wisp of dark magic flickers between her hands and vanishes. Soma watches her attempt, his gaze sharp and observant as it fails. She explains that no one could find any mistake in her procedure. She researched and tried everything for days, weeks, and even months. All of her desperate efforts to awaken her power were meaningless. Soma listens intently, nodding that he now understands her situation. He asks if anyone ever found anything suspicious about her condition. Aina confirms that no clues were ever discovered by anyone who tried. He wonders if her condition isn't suspicious, but something else entirely. She doesn't understand, suggesting maybe no one was smart enough. Soma stands, proposing a bizarre solution. He will try cutting her. Aina is completely shocked, demanding to know what he is talking about. In a flash, his wooden stick slices through the air before her. She stands completely still, stunned but miraculously unharmed by the motion. She grabs him, asking what he did, but he just says it's fine. He calmly instructs her to try casting her magic one more time. Hesitantly, she focuses her will and commands the flame to appear. A small, but very real, flame flickers to life in her hands. She stares at the impossible sight, her mind reeling in disbelief. Soma calmly points out that a flame definitely appeared for a moment. With renewed hope, she gathers her power, determined to try again. She calls forth the flame once more, her voice filled with power. A large, stable fire now swirls in her hands, a triumphant success. Soma notes that it worked, deducing that something was in the way. He turns to her with a gentle smile, happy for her breakthrough. The dam of her emotions finally breaks, and she bursts into tears. Soma is flustered, thinking something else has gone terribly wrong. Through her sobs, she manages to thank him, confusing him further. She doesn't know what he did, but she knows he is the reason. With a heart full of gratitude, she thanks her friend, Soma. He asks her to stop crying, but she says it is impossible. Back in the study, Soma reflects on solving Aina's strange problem. He wishes that he could make some progress on his own quest. He turns to his tutor, Camilla, telling her he has a question. He asks if it's true that magic is a skill that cannot fail. Camilla confirms this is the common understanding for all skills. She explains that actions initiated by a skill are supposed to succeed. Unlike swordsmanship, where skill levels matter, magic should be absolute. Soma points out that he has just witnessed this rule being broken. Camilla remembers that he had mentioned Aina's peculiar situation. He reasons that for a special grade skill, failure should be impossible. Camilla waves it off, explaining that special grade is an exception. She states that such skills operate outside the realm of common sense. A brilliant idea begins to form in Soma's mind from her words. Camilla grows wary, asking if he's thought of something troublesome again. He theorizes that if Aina can do the impossible, she can teach him. With a triumphant grin, he announces that she will teach him magic. Aina's expression is one of complete and utter exhaustion at the idea. She tells him she has absolutely no idea what he is talking about. She protests that she only just learned how to use magic yesterday. How can she possibly teach him something she doesn't understand herself? Soma insists, saying she just needs to show him how she does it. Seeing it as a way to repay him, she reluctantly agrees. He gets into position, ready to try and mimic her movements. She explains the process of pouring mana into her palm and chanting. Soma asks a question so basic it stops her cold: what is mana? She can't explain it, saying mana is just mana, a prerequisite for magic. He ponders this intangible concept, the core of all magic in this world. He theorizes that if he could experience mana directly, he might learn. Aina gets a very bad feeling, asking what he is thinking. He reveals his insane plan: he wants her to hit him with magic. She asks if he is being serious, her face a mask of disbelief. He confirms with a confident smile that he is absolutely serious. Resigned, she agrees, telling him he deserves whatever pain he gets. She gathers her power, beginning a powerful incantation for a fire spell. Soma's eye sharpens, his focus absolute as he prepares for the impact. His perception shifts, his divine abilities activating to analyze the attack. He still can't quite grasp the theory, but decides to proceed anyway. Aina unleashes her spell, shouting its name, Flame Arrow. The torrent of dark fire explodes against Soma's waiting form. He emerges from the smoke, smiling, saying he might understand if he cuts it. He unleashes his own power, a technique called the Magic Sword of Annihilation. He lets out a small sigh, seemingly pleased with the result. Aina can only stare, her mind completely unable to process what happened. Soma is disappointed, realizing his whim needs more careful thought. Aina furiously demands to know if he understands what he just did. She yells that you can't just cut a special grade magic spell. He calmly replies that even so, he was able to cut it. She explains that what he did was more impossible than tearing space itself. Dejected, Soma walks through the grand halls of the Zaymont Manor. He sighs, concluding that his method was a failure and needs rethinking. As he walks, the figure of a young girl appears in the doorway. He turns, his expression one of mild surprise at the interruption. The girl, his sister Rina, looks back at him, equally surprised. Soma smiles, greeting her warmly and noting that it has been a while. Rina's reply is cold and formal, addressing him as Soma-san. He notes that she seems well, but her distant tone hangs in the air. Soma suggests she call him brother, but Rina formally refuses, saying it's improper. He thoughtfully considers her cold and distant response, a pensive look on his face. Soma observes that his sister appears to be quite tired. He kindly suggests they go for a walk outside, hoping to reconnect with her. His words trigger a painful memory, causing Rina to flinch away from him. He continues, asking if she wants to sneak out again, just like they did before. She cuts him off, her face twisted in anguish as she calls his formal name. Rina says she appreciates his concern, but she must decline the kind invitation. She coldly states that she simply does not have time for such pointless things. She tells him to stop wasting time and do something more constructive instead. Soma's hand clenches into a fist, his own frustration finally showing through. Stating that time is precious, Rina excuses herself and begins to walk away. He watches her leave, a troubled and thoughtful expression on his young face. Later, Soma recounts the strange and cold encounter with his sister to Camilla. He wonders aloud when she began to hate him, musing on the cruelty of time. Camilla listens with a weary sigh, unsure how to respond to his family problems. She realizes something is terribly wrong, confirming her own suspicions about Rina. The scene shifts, plunging into the depths of Rina's painful memories. Her sorrowful face is shown, hinting at the deep-seated trauma that defines her. The memory begins at a grand party, filled with nobles in their finest attire. It was her 5th birthday, a day that was supposed to be filled with joy. She had believed this year's party would be the most special celebration yet. It was the day her brilliant brother was to have his long-awaited skill appraisal. She politely thanks a guest, playing her part in the grand family celebration. But as the party continued, she realized her beloved older brother was missing. She searched frantically through the bustling crowds, but he was nowhere to be seen. She finally spotted her parents, but their expressions were grim and serious. Rina tentatively approaches her mother, sensing that something is terribly wrong. She asks her mother about her brother's whereabouts, her voice filled with concern. Her mother, with a cold expression, summons the young girl to her private room. Rina is stunned and confused by the strange, ominous request from her mother. There, she delivers a soul-crushing command: her brother is to be considered non-existent. Her mother doubles down, stating that he never existed in the first place. The words strike Rina's young heart, her entire world shattering in an instant. With quiet devastation, the young girl whispers that she understands her mother's decree. Her mother looks on, her face a mask of sorrow and grim, unshakable resolve. On that fateful day, her childhood admiration for her brother was completely shattered. Yet, she still dreams of that night, when she disobeyed her mother's orders. Driven by curiosity, she followed his silhouette out into the dark, forbidden forest. Deep within the woods, she hid among the leaves, peering at a strange light. What she witnessed there was a sight of impossible, incomprehensible power. The memory shifts to a later time, during a dull lesson with her governess. Her governess asks if she is paying attention, her tone one of mild concern. Rina confirms she is listening, repeating the lesson about her parents' importance. The governess sighs, urging her to be much more diligent in her studies. She warns Rina not to become like the good-for-nothing of the family. Rina sharply tells her governess to be careful with her choice of words. With cold certainty, she states that such a person does not even exist. The governess, taken aback by the girl's intensity, quickly agrees with her. She continues her lesson, stating Rina must grow to be a fine and proper heir. Rina accepts her duty as the next head of the great house of Zaymont. She knows this position of honor was originally meant for her older brother. But in her mind, he was judged and found unworthy of that noble birthright. Her own path, however, was paved with immense and undeniable innate talent. She possessed a special-grade swordsmanship skill, just like her renowned father. The path of the sword became the singular focus of her young, disciplined life. It was a path she once shared with her brother, admiring his intense training. But that shared admiration now feels like a distant and painful memory. She came to believe that it was all a lie, a complete and utter fabrication. So his continued presence in her life became an unbearable, constant insult. He acted as if nothing had changed, which only deepened her bitter resentment. She remembers being told she could not acknowledge him, that he was to be erased. She couldn't bear to think he was so dense he didn't understand the situation. The feeling that grew in the place of her admiration was simple, unforgivable. He had trampled on her memories, her feelings, everything she once held dear. In her mind, he was a ghost, a person who wasn't supposed to exist anymore. She decided that if he was truly gone, then she would erase him completely. She would get rid of the lingering feelings, the memories, all of it. And so, she followed him into the forest, determined to find her answers. She saw him there, practicing with his wooden sword, just as he always had. But then, she saw another figure appear, the strange girl named Aina. She watched them from the cover of the trees, her presence completely concealed. Her suspicions about him were seemingly confirmed by this secret meeting. The narrative returns to the present, with Soma seemingly talking to himself. He muses that since things have come to this, it was his only option. Rina, still hidden, wonders who he is talking to as he practices with mana. Aina suddenly appears, scolding him for getting too close while she practices magic. Soma scratches his head, trying to explain himself to the fuming Aina. Watching them bicker, Rina grows increasingly irritated by the entire scene. She wonders who this strange girl is and what she is doing with her brother. Suddenly, Soma's head snaps around, his keen senses detecting a hidden presence. Rina is shocked, realizing he has somehow sensed her through her concealment. Her powerful concealment skills, which fool even the manor guards, have failed. A sudden, dawning realization crosses her face as she remembers something important. She recalls another time, long ago, when her brother had surprised her. She dismisses it as a coincidence, refusing to believe he could see her. Aina, oblivious, asks Soma what's wrong, and he wonders how to explain. He asks Aina if she can sense anyone else nearby, besides the two of them. Aina scans the area but confirms that she can't see or sense anyone. With a thoughtful hum, Soma begins to walk towards the hidden Rina. He stops and points directly at his sister's hiding spot in the bushes. Rina's eyes widen in complete and utter shock at being discovered. She steps out from her cover, demanding to know how he found her. Aina is equally stunned, unable to believe someone was there the whole time. Rina struggles to accept that he truly sensed her presence. Regaining her composure, she offers him a cold and formal good morning. Soma returns her greeting with a casual smile, completely unfazed by the tension. Rina glares at him, the air thick with years of unspoken resentment. The siblings face each other in the clearing, the stage set for a confrontation. Soma maintains his calm, knowing smile, ready for what is to come. In the desolate clearing, Soma casually asks his sister Rina for a spar. Rina lowers her head, her hand clenching into a tight, determined fist. Soma turns to Aina, warning her to step away for her own safety. Rina's gaze is fixed on the simple wooden stick in her brother's hand. Her mind flashes back to a memory of him practicing alone in the rain. She thinks with a sad smile that her brother hasn't changed at all. He has only continued to improve, never wavering from his chosen path. He continues his confident dance, just as he did in their childhood. She notes his stance is the same, hardly even a proper fighting form. She understands now how foolish it was to believe she had surpassed him. Rina's special grade swordsmanship is about to be unleashed upon her own brother. Soma, with an unconcerned smile, asks if she is finally ready to begin. Gripping her sword, Rina confirms that she is prepared for their duel. The two siblings stand opposite each other, the tension thick between them. Well then, Rina says, her voice firm as she prepares to attack. Soma simply agrees with a nod, readying his simple wooden practice stick. Rina explodes into motion, her body a whirlwind of focused, deadly energy. Her eyes gleam, channeling the immense power of her special grade skill. This power is described as a force beyond reason, a true calamity. It can easily cleave a person in two like a simple tree branch. Despite her power, Rina resolves to at least spare her brother's life. She focuses her spirit for the attack, but consciously holds back her power. With a sharp cry of Zangiki, she unleashes a powerful slashing strike. Her gleaming sword descends, only to be met by Soma's wooden stick. Rina's eyes widen in disbelief as she stammers, "Eh? What?" Soma's expression remains completely neutral, unfazed by her powerful assault. Her mind races, thinking that what just happened is simply impossible. For a skillless person to block her should be a miracle. Soma looks at her, stating that this is certainly just a little game. He calmly tells her that she is playing around far too much. Rina grits her teeth, his casual dismissal cutting deeper than any blade. Don't mock me, she thinks, preparing another, more furious sword strike. Soma once again parries her attack with his stick, completely unbothered. She unleashes another Zangiki, still concentrating but adjusting her power. Soma calmly observes that she is still holding back her true strength. He easily deflects another one of her powerful, sweeping sword strikes. Rina thinks to herself that this is exactly what she should expect. No, she thinks, digging her foot into the ground in utter frustration. She screams internally that this can't be happening, that it's all wrong. If her brother is talentless, her entire worldview must be a mistake. A raw, guttural scream of pure, unrestrained frustration escapes her lips. She focuses her power into her ultimate technique, the violet lightning flash. With a furious battle cry, she pours her soul into the attack. Soma remarks that her technique isn't bad, but she still has far to go. His wooden stick meets her ultimate attack, stopping it completely. A memory surfaces of hollow praise from her mother, tutors, and friends. She recalls that, in truth, she was never happy with their words. Soma asks if she has much experience sparring against other people. Rina realizes no one could ever be a worthy opponent for her skill. And so? Her painful thought trails off into a dark, vertical panel. Aina realizes with a start that Rina must have been jealous of her. Rina channels her power into an extreme secret art, Isatsu, a single strike. She thinks of the lonely past year, honing her skills all by herself. She declares this powerful strike to be the culmination of her training. Soma tells her the move wasn't bad, but her intent was too obvious. She looks down, defeated, asking if her efforts were all meaningless. She wonders aloud if this entire past year was a total waste. That's not it at all. She thinks, planting her foot firmly. I am, she screams, her face a mask of defiance. She unleashes her final power, the sword of the heavens, sword of stars. Soma watches the cataclysmic attack descend with a calm, analytical expression. Tendrils of dark energy swirl around him as he prepares to counter. The tendrils of her attack are effortlessly dispersed by his immense power. Rina is left panting on the ground, the incredible power now gone. The aftermath of her final attack has devastated the clearing around her. Covering her eyes, she quietly accepts the undeniable fact that she has lost. Soma approaches her, telling her that her final strike was truly magnificent. He says it was only a paper-thin margin from actually hitting him. He gently pats her on the head in a gesture of brotherly affection. Aina watches from the sidelines, her eyes wide with stunned surprise. Rina closes her eyes, accepting the comforting gesture from her older brother. Soma tells her that she truly does possess a great talent for the sword. Rina realizes her admiration and memories of him were never a lie. With a peaceful expression, she thinks that he is still her brother. Soma looks away thoughtfully, his hand on his chin, considering something. He muses that sparring with others is meaningful and sharpens his skills. He laments that it's difficult to find a worthy sparring partner. He glances over at his sister with a small, knowing smile. Rina looks up, her face a mask of flustered but determined emotion. Brother, she calls out, getting his attention as she stands. With newfound purpose, she declares that she will be his sparring partner. Aina, watching the siblings reconcile, decides it's time for her to leave. She announces that she should probably be heading back to the manor now. Rina turns and apologizes to Aina for her part in the day's events. Aina reassures her with a smile that it's not Rina's fault at all. Soma asks if she is sure, as he wanted to test her magic more. Aina scolds him, saying his reckless magic practice is over for today. She warns that repeating such dangerous things will only lead to trouble. Soma muses that a little danger is necessary to learn to use magic. Rina watches them bicker, a small, knowing smile on her face. She thinks to herself that this is just like her dear older brother. Aina sighs, exasperated, thinking this brother, and this sister. They agree to meet again tomorrow, and Aina waves goodbye as she leaves. Aina walks away through the tall grass of the forest clearing. She smiles to herself, thinking that today was an amazing experience. She reflects on Rina's special grade swordsmanship, a gift holder's level of skill. Yet, Soma was able to defeat her with even greater, impossible ease. She knows she couldn't match Soma in swordsmanship, despite her powerful magic. Soma's face, full of earnest excitement, asks her to teach him magic. Aina blushes, a small, happy smile gracing her lips at the memory. Aina reflects on her recent past, realizing meeting Soma was a good thing. Suddenly, a man's voice announces that he has finally found her. She turns in shock, her eyes wide with confusion and alarm. A man in a military uniform smiles, saying he searched everywhere for her. Aina recognizes him, her voice a fearful whisper as she says his name. He confirms his identity, noting it has been a very long time. He addresses Aina as Princess, a title that stuns a watching Rina. The scene shifts to a dark, torchlit chamber, deep underground. A hooded figure sits in shadow, hands clasped in sinister contemplation. A secret council of robed figures is gathered around a candle-lit table. One asks if the news is certain, another confirms it without a doubt. A murmur of anticipation spreads through the group as the time draws near. One figure stands, declaring that the long era of stagnation is over. He proclaims with fanatical glee that everything is for the Demon Lord. The story then flashes back to a sunnier day in the past. A younger Rina stares forward, her expression one of fierce determination. She calls out to her brother, announcing that she is coming for him. A young Soma smiles calmly, inviting her to try her best. With a blur of motion, Rina swings her practice sword at him. He effortlessly blocks her strike, his divine principles aiding his defense. Rina cheers with delight, having finally forced her brother to block. Soma praises her excellent strike but hints that her move was incomplete. He easily twists her blade aside, leaving her completely off balance. He asks her what she plans to do now that he has stopped her. Rina is stunned, realizing she had no follow-up plan for her attack. She admits she only focused on landing the blow, not what came after. Soma tells her that understanding this means she has passed for now. He leans in, telling her she has a long way to go to touch him. Rina's eyes burn with resolve as she vows to succeed one day. He gently pats her head, saying he will be looking forward to it. Returning to the present, Soma turns his attention back to Aina. He formally apologizes to her and Rina for making them wait. Aina says she didn't mind, finding their intense sibling spar interesting. He asks if she is certain, suggesting there's no need to lie. Rina agrees with a sly smile, noting that his logic is sound. Soma points out that she still has a lot of free time. Aina reluctantly agrees, admitting she can't really deny that fact. He proposes they use this precious free time much more effectively. He thoughtfully considers the best possible use of their spare moments. He suggests they create a secret signal for if she is ever captured. He asks what she means, as if the idea is perfectly logical. Aina snaps back, insisting such a situation would never happen. He calmly states that preparing for any possibility is always important. She asks with sudden vulnerability if he would actually come save her. Soma seems surprised by the question, then answers that of course he would. Aina explodes in a flustered rage, asking what he is even talking about. He says it would break his heart if she were captured, no matter what. She throws up her hands in surrender, declaring it was her fault. He insists she has done nothing wrong, it is simply his nature. She cuts him off, shouting that this strange conversation is now over. Soma watches her storm off, a curious expression on his face. Rina quickly jumps in, asking if he would rescue her as well. He calls it a difficult question, which makes his sister gasp in outrage. He explains she must be trained to protect herself from vile people. Rina is shocked but immediately understands the truth in his harsh words. She realizes that to be rescued, she must stop her own training. Aina sighs to herself, feeling that everything about this is just wrong. She turns away, lost in her thoughts and the day's bizarre events. Soma watches her, sensing the deep turmoil hidden beneath her frustration. The scene shifts back to the stately Zaymont ducal manor. Camilla begins her lesson, continuing their discussion of the demon tribes. She tells Soma this is vital information he needs to understand. She quizzes him on the official definition of the term, humanity. An illustration shows the 5 great races that form the political body. She asks if he knows why these specific 5 races are grouped. Soma wonders aloud why powerful races like the spirits are excluded. Camilla clarifies that it is simply because they do not have a nation. The reasoning clicks into place for Soma with a flash of insight. She adds that phantoms are also excluded for the very same reason. Soma thoughtfully asks if that is also the case for the dwarves. Camilla becomes flustered, explaining the dwarves' situation is different. Their numbers are too few, she explains, especially the pure-blooded ones. Soma asks if that is the very reason she is here as his teacher. He deduces she is a pure-blooded dwarf, leaving her utterly speechless. She stammers, admitting she never dreamed he would figure out her secret. He asks if it's strange, stating the conclusion seemed obvious to him. She explains one doesn't often consider a race on the verge of extinction. Changing the subject, she asks why such a political system was created. Soma listens intently, his hand to his chin as he ponders. He concludes it was born of necessity, likely involving the demon race. Camilla confirms this, saying, humanity was created due to the demons. Before the demons appeared, the other races were constantly at war. The conflict was so devastating that the hobbits were nearly wiped out. The demon race was created as a common enemy to halt the infighting. Camilla laments that it was a foolish plan that ultimately failed. Soma asks why this history lesson is so important for him now. He looks at her with genuine curiosity, seeking her true intentions. She says he will travel to find magic, which leads to demon lands. Soma understands her warning, he must choose his allies with care. Camilla gazes out the window, stating that is simply how things are. The scene returns to the forest clearing, the mood tense and heavy. Aina stares forward, her expression a mask of grim determination. A memory flashes of her being cast out, a whirlwind of despair. She lets out a heavy sigh, the weight of her past pressing down. She recalls the shame of being a failure, forcing her to run away. Albert's voice echoes, asking if it's time to return to the Demon Lord. A caption identifies him as Albert of the Dead Heaven, a top general. He speaks of how she is now needed again after being cast aside. Aina knows her past self would have returned to her father immediately. But now, she recalls Soma and Rina's simple promise, see you tomorrow. Aina looks away, her expression a mask of sorrowful resolve. She stands before Albert, her final, fateful decision made. He presses her for an answer, wondering how this encounter will end. Aina lowers her head, a sad, self-deprecating smile on her lips. She apologizes, saying she was a fool to worry over trivial things. Albert's smile widens as he awaits her inevitable confirmation. With a heavy heart and a quiet voice, she agrees to go. I will go, she resolves, her voice barely a whisper. In a dark chamber, Albert addresses a hooded council, ending their long wait. He smiles, announcing the commencement of their plan as a demon general. A hooded figure beside him confirms that the time has finally come. Albert apologizes, admitting the plan's completion is long overdue. Another member reassures him that the delay was a necessary evil. He insists that this was the only way to ensure a perfect plan. Albert agrees, knowing that rushing would have compromised their goal. The leader tasks Albert with escorting the princess, trusting him completely. With a confident smile, Albert accepts the mission and its responsibilities. The chamber echoes with a unified, sinister vow, for the demon lord. Back in the forest, Aina sits alone, lost in quiet contemplation. She lets out a soft sigh, enjoying a final moment of peace. Her calm expression betrays the deep turmoil within her heart. A sharp, sudden voice cuts through the silence, ordering her not to move. Startled, Aina turns to face the unexpected intrusion. Rina appears from behind, confirming her identity to the bewildered girl. Rina holds up a hand, her gaze serious and intensely focused. Aina asks why Rina would surprise her like this, not expecting her today. Rina explains she came to surprise her brother, Soma. She notes that her brother's absence is a fortunate turn of events. Aina accuses Rina of having a twisted sense of humor for ambushing her. Rina challenges her, asking why she would assume it was a joke. Aina is taken aback by Rina's sudden and serious intensity. Rina asks if it's strange to be serious when facing a demon. The pointed accusation strikes Aina, leaving her momentarily stunned. Aina lowers her head, unable to refute the harsh truth. With a sigh, Rina bluntly calls Aina completely defenseless. Aina looks up, confused by the meaning behind Rina's words. Rina warns that if she were an enemy, Aina would already be dead. With tears in her eyes, Aina asks why Rina isn't trying to kill her. Rina looks at her, perplexed. "What are you talking about?" she asks. She admits seeing them together is annoying, but she wouldn't kill Aina. Rina clarifies that this was not a joke, but something closer to a warning. Aina stares in wide-eyed shock, repeating the word warning. Rina states that neither Aina nor Soma grasp the danger she is in. She concedes, however, that her brother is an exception to the rule. Rina knew they needed to talk, and today was the perfect opportunity. Aina complains that Rina is just trying to scare her with bad jokes. Rina insists it's no joke, and there's a reason for her concern. Reluctantly, Aina admits that Rina might have a point. Rina gives a final, urgent command to be careful of others. Her eyes suddenly widen in alarm as she senses an imminent threat. A massive, violent explosion rips through the forest clearing. Aina can only stare, her mind blank with shock and terror. She screams Rina's name as her friend is consumed by the blast. Aina's face is a mask of pure, unadulterated horror. Albert appears through the smoke, his hand outstretched, the source of the attack. Aina stares, horrified by his sudden and violent betrayal. He coldly tells her to pay it no mind, unleashing a shockwave. An invisible force erupts from his hand, aimed at the fallen girl. Rina is sent tumbling across the ground, now completely unconscious. Aina screams, overwhelmed by the sudden, brutal assault. Albert stands over Rina's still form, his expression cold and detached. Aina's voice trembles as she looks at him and asks, "Why?" She rushes to Rina's side, trying to shield her from further harm. She pleads with Albert, insisting Rina meant no harm to her. Albert realizes he can use this to deepen the princess's despair. He touches his chin thoughtfully, his cruel plan taking shape. He muses that this unexpected turn must also be the demon lord's will. Aina looks up, utterly confused by his strange and ominous words. Albert reassures her that Rina will make a fine sacrifice, but won't be killed. "What are you talking about?" Aina asks, her heart pounding with fear. He reminds her that the demon lord has summoned her to his side. Aina tearfully defies him, insisting she already refused his offer. Albert realizes she thinks she can do as she pleases with Rina's life. Aina is shocked by his callous disregard for her friend. She cannot believe he would go this far just to fulfill his orders. Albert reveals the devastating truth: her own father gave his permission. Aina's eyes widen in disbelief as she whispers, "That's a lie." With a sigh, Albert decides he has no choice but to use force. He admits with a cruel smile that this was always his intention. He lunges, and Aina collapses, her spirit finally broken. Albert catches her unconscious form as she falls to the ground. He declares it's time to return, pleased with his unexpected harvest. Aina's face is shown, her fate now sealed by betrayal. In the manor, Camilla calmly lays out the facts of Rina's absences. The nervous governess can only stammer that Camilla's assessment is correct. She admits she didn't report it, thinking it was just a routine matter. Camilla points out that today's absence breaks the established pattern. The governess fumbles for an excuse, saying such things happen. Camilla cuts her off, stating she understands the situation perfectly. The terrified governess tries to speak but is silenced. Camilla's gaze hardens as she orders the woman to leave. The governess flinches, completely intimidated by Camilla's cold authority. She bows her head and meekly agrees to the command. Camilla watches her scurry away, her mind already on the real problem. She asks an unseen companion why such a person was ever hired. Her companion replies that they had no choice, though it was regrettable. Camilla admits that once hired, she couldn't simply dismiss the woman. She sits, pondering what their next move should be in this crisis. She confirms that Rina was last seen at the manor 2 hours ago. A voice confirms this, stating that Rina had dinner with him. Camilla considers if Rina was taken or if she managed to slip away alone. She looms over the seated governess, demanding to know her reasoning. Camilla insists no one could possibly invade if the wards were truly secure. The governess admits Camilla is right, she would have already seen any intruder. Taken aback, Camilla leans in, asking what the governess intends to do. With clasped hands, the governess desperately asks if Camilla could please help. She sighs in resignation, agreeing to take on the search and keep it quiet. The governess cries out, her face shadowed, wishing she could search herself. Camilla dismisses her concerns, stating this is just another part of her job. The governess leaves the room, the heavy doors closing with a somber finality. Alone now, Camilla exhales a long, frustrated sigh, the burden settling on her. She collects her thoughts, tapping her chin as she prepares to make a plan. Suddenly, Soma appears, startling her by asking if she has any leads. A close view reveals Soma's face, his eyes calm and intensely focused. Camilla's eyes widen as she asks if Soma somehow heard their private talk. Soma nonchalantly confirms that he did, in fact, hear what was said. He claims it was unimportant, just a conversation he overheard in the hallway. She confirms his suspicions, stating that Rina has vanished from the estate. He asks if that was the topic of her discussion with his mother. Camilla accepts his help, stating she will now begin the search for Rina. Soma tells her to focus on the search and leave other duties for now. He calmly reiterates his question, wanting to know if she has a lead. Camilla confesses she has no leads, planning to search the magic forest first. She turns to him, stating that she has expectations for what he'll do. Camilla looks on, her expression one of complete surprise at his response. She questions his intentions, asking if he's just following her with a scheme. With a knowing smile, he states that he would absolutely never follow her. They suddenly take off, a blur of motion rushing through the dense forest. With narrowed eyes, she questions the sudden need for such extreme speed. In the forest, she asks what's wrong, reminding him he said he wouldn't follow. He looks back with a confident smile, stating that he will be their guide. An abstract shot conveys their incredible speed as they tear through the woods. A streak of movement shows them running past the forest trees at high speed. She runs beside him, her expression strained as she matches his incredible speed. She questions the wisdom of running all out, asking what his plan is. He looks ahead intently, telling her that her thinking is far too naive. He explains that he must do what he can, as Rina is now the perfect decoy. He clarifies that Rina is a marker for him to track her abduction. Magical lights, like glowing insects, stream through the trees ahead of them. He reveals his true target is Aina, tracked with a marker only he sees. She understands now, if they follow this trail, they will also find Rina. He asks what they've been up to, stating this is how he's helping. She asks how he realized Aina was taken, and if Rina noticed it too. He brushes it off, saying that he only found out about it by chance. He says he noticed Aina was taken, then returned to find Rina gone. She demands to know why he waited instead of immediately giving chase. He theorizes the enemy used spatial transfer magic after seizing the two girls. She repeats his words, spatial transfer, understanding the grave implications. He explains they only know the direction, so preparations were necessary. She remains focused on the enemy's ability to use spatial transfer magic. She reasons such magic requires a top-tier mage or a very rare artifact. She decides that for now, her best course of action is to follow him. He turns to her, noting that her calm demeanor is somewhat unexpected. Camilla says she thought he would show more impatience, if not outright anger. He offers a simple "I see," his expression calm and controlled. His hand tightens into a fist as he says it's fine if he appears calm. He admits to himself that his own training is still far from complete. She admits she prefers this version of him and feels a sense of relief. Leaving the trees behind, they step out into a vast and barren wasteland. He scans the horizon, observing that nothing here seems particularly strange. He questions if they can relax, assuming no immediate ambush is coming. She agrees, adding they should be safe unless they do something stupid. He concludes they need a landmark to orient themselves before they proceed. He proposes they gather intelligence locally, and Camilla sees no problem with it. He raises a hand, then dismisses his thought, saying it's nothing at all. She internally remarks on how surprising he is, needing no one to follow him. She proposes finding a town, as this remote place is surely uninhabited. He agrees, and with that decision made, they prepare to move forward. The pair sets out, leaving the relative safety of the forest behind them. Their path leads them to an old, broken signpost in the empty plains. They see a small settlement in the distance, nestled near a body of water. Camilla's eye widens slightly, surprised to find civilization out here. They realize it's a small village, which Soma finds unexpectedly inconvenient. He frets that being outsiders, their presence here will be exposed instantly. She expresses doubt about their ability to gather any intelligence here. She resigns herself to trying, saying there's no use worrying about it. Soma laments that their investigation was an all-too predictable failure. He leans back, hoping that Camilla's side of the search is more fruitful. He is suddenly alert, his eyes widening as he senses someone is near. An elderly woman approaches, asking if he's all right since she's been calling. He explains he's traveling and needs to know about the land and supplies. She nods, saying it makes sense he's unaware, as everyone stays away. She tells him of the ruins in that direction, a place of local legend. She explains it was an altar used centuries ago to worship a certain god. He asks if she's referring to an evil god, and she confirms it. That, she says, is why everyone stays away and doesn't get involved. She says they're afraid of catching some unknown ailment if they get involved. She recounts the tale of the mad god who was defeated by a hero. He puts it together, the demons are the ones who oppose this evil god. He asks for the travel time, wanting to know how long it will take. It's a day's walk, she says, but she thinks it would be better to stop. She warns that monsters lurk nearby, making the journey extremely dangerous. He admits he'd rather not, but circumstances leave him with no other choice. He asks for any other information about that area, but she has none. The old woman gives him a map she has drawn to help guide him. She says it isn't much, but it's the only way she can help him. He smiles gratefully, telling her that her assistance was plenty helpful. He asks if she has any troubles, offering to help her in return. She looks down, saying she isn't really in any kind of trouble. She reconsiders, asking if he would mind listening to her talk for a bit. An old woman asks Soma if he would listen to her uninteresting story. Soma agrees with a slight smile, saying he doesn't mind at all. Grateful, the woman prepares to tell him a foolish old person's tale. She begins her story, recalling events from just over a year ago. In a flashback, a despairing Aina sits alone under a massive tree. The woman says she and her husband knew it was no place for a girl. Unable to simply abandon her, they decided to take the girl home. Their plan was to offer her a warm meal and send her off the next day. But Aina's condition didn't improve, her sickness was of the heart. They feared that if they sent her away, she would simply wander off and die. The old woman admits they could do nothing to truly help her situation. Soma listens intently, acknowledging that he understands the story so far. Then, the woman recalls, Aina began to brighten after making a friend. Little by little, the lonely girl started to show them her smile. The old couple was overjoyed by this change, though they had done nothing. Having no children of their own, she began to feel like their granddaughter. But even as she recovered, the shadow of sadness never fully left her. In fleeting moments, she would still reveal a lonely, pained expression. But then, the woman says with renewed light, the girl finally smiled. Soma considers this, recalling Aina's recent change in demeanor. The woman clarifies that this was a genuine smile from her heart. She knew instantly that someone else had saved the girl they couldn't. The woman explains how incredibly happy this realization made her feel. However, she confesses a deep regret over something she shouldn't have said. Overjoyed, she had told Aina that she seemed to be okay now. Soma looks at her, sensing her distress, and asks what is wrong. The woman's face crumples as she repeats telling Aina she was okay. She had thought Aina would never return, and now she is gone. She feels lonely, convinced Aina won't tell them where she is. She believes Aina left due to the difference in their social standing. Wiping a tear, she apologizes for telling him such a useless story. She asks if she can make one more shameless request of him. Soma remains calm as she prepares to make her desperate plea. She asks if he could possibly pass a message on to the girl. With anguish, she begs him to just tell Aina, "I'm sorry." Soma looks over his shoulder and flatly refuses her request. The woman is crushed, admitting it was too much to ask of him. Soma declares he will bring Aina back so she can apologize herself. He adds that he and Aina also have much to say to each other. With his vow made, he turns and dashes off toward the ruins. His eyes burn with determination as he sets off to bring her home. The scene shifts as Aina awakens on the cold floor of a dungeon. Her eyes flutter open, slowly taking in her grim, dark surroundings. She looks up to see the heavy iron bars of a prison cell. She realizes with dawning horror that she has been locked in a jail. A sudden voice startles her, and she whips her head around in shock. She is stunned to find Rina sitting against the far wall. Rina, though bruised, offers her a calm and gentle "good morning." Aina, flustered, exclaims this is no time for morning greetings. She regains her composure and asks if Rina is truly unharmed. Rina slumps slightly, showing the strain of their capture. She admits that while she's not totally fine, she is at least alive. Rina asks Aina if she knows why they have been imprisoned here. Aina recalls Albert's claim that this was the Demon Lord's wish. She denies it, believing her father would never desire such a thing. Rina gently asks her friend what is wrong, sensing her turmoil. Aina wonders if she misinterpreted her father's words about returning. She quickly dismisses the thought, flustered by Rina's question. Rina suggests that Aina might know the real reason for their capture. Aina, resigned, agrees to explain the situation in simple terms. She reveals the truth: she is the daughter of the Demon Lord. Rina calmly accepts this, noting that it makes the situation possible. She still doesn't understand, however, why she was also taken. A new voice offers to answer their questions about the sacrifice. Albert appears outside their cell, a smug look on his face. He confirms he will answer, stating it's just as they discussed. He tells Aina directly that she was brought here as a sacrifice. Aina grabs the bars, shouting that her father would never allow it. Albert feigns confusion, asking what the princess is talking about. He condescendingly remarks that the princess seems to have a misunderstanding. Aina furiously demands to know what he means by misunderstanding. Albert's face twists into a sneer of pure contempt for her father. Aina is left speechless, shocked by his blatant, seething hatred. He declares they do not recognize her father as the Demon Lord. He explains that once the true Lord is revived, they will all see. Aina realizes he is referring to the previous, long-dead Demon Lord. Albert confirms that for him, there has only ever been one true Lord. Aina protests that the previous Demon Lord was annihilated long ago. Albert smiles, explaining this is precisely why he will be resurrected. Aina's eyes widen in horror as she realizes the terrifying implication. The name of the ritual is revealed: Rebirth of the Dead King. Aina shouts that it's impossible, a mere theoretical possibility. She wonders aloud if the sacrifice is truly meant to be her. Albert confirms an ordinary sacrifice would be insufficient for their lord. But 2 gift holders with special grade skills would be perfect. Aina asks if he truly thinks he can get away with this. He grins maniacally, declaring this is why their lord must be revived. He raves about their revenge against those who subjugated them. Aina can only stare in horror, thinking that he is utterly insane. Albert smiles, pleased that she finally understands his grand plan. He mockingly says she cannot join, as her sacrifice is the first step. Aina coldly tells him to do as he pleases, that she won't stop him. Albert prepares to make his move, his dark power gathering around him. He suddenly lunges through the bars, grabbing Rina by the neck. He sneers, saying he didn't expect such a cheap attack from her. A spike of dark energy impales Rina, who gasps in shock and pain. Albert boasts he is the strongest, prepared for her special grade skill. He explains he simply reflected her attack, and she will die if it continues. With a sickening smile, he says her death is not a problem to him. Aina's face contorts in pure rage as she screams his name. Aina furiously gathers dark energy, preparing to unleash a powerful magic spell. Her flame arrow strikes Albert, who seems more surprised than hurt by it. He stands completely unharmed as the last of her magic swirls around him. Aina stares in disbelief, her ultimate attack having failed to leave a scratch. Albert expresses his surprise that the princess has somehow learned to use magic. She is stunned, recalling that he was the one who sealed her power away. Aina's eye widens in absolute horror as the terrible truth dawns on her. He taunts her, asking if she truly hadn't noticed his manipulation. Albert smugly confesses that he sealed her magic so no one would ever know. She trembles, demanding to know why he would do such a cruel thing. He gleefully declares his only goal was to plunge her into total despair. He admits her escape was unexpected, but it was all part of his grand plan. He mockingly thanks her for playing her part in his scheme so perfectly. Aina is aghast, shocked into silence by his monstrous confession. Her expression darkens with pure, unadulterated rage at his cruel betrayal. She lunges forward, once again gathering her dark magic for another attack. A shadowy force slams into her, brutally knocking her to the ground. Albert coolly states that he will just have to silence her for now. She doubles over, coughing up blood from the invisible, crushing blow. He muses that her defiance might actually make this situation more interesting. A predatory glint appears in his eye, he admits he prefers her this way. She lets out a strangled cry of pain, utterly terrified by his sadism. He brutally stomps his foot down onto her head, showing no mercy. He notes with sick pleasure that she has become more spirited this year. A twisted, cruel smile spreads across his face as he relishes her suffering. His boot grinds her hand into the cold, cracked stone floor. Aina groans in agony, her face bruised and bloodied from the assault. He remarks that he must reevaluate her, as she's not a pampered princess. He looms over her, his silhouette twisting as he delivers a cruel monologue. A sudden, wicked idea comes to him, his expression brightening with malice. He offers to heal her if she begs for her life, promising a painless death. She grits her teeth, her body trembling with pain and fierce defiance. He feigns disappointment, mocking her for foolishly hoping that help might arrive. Defeated, Aina whispers a faint, desperate plea for someone to save her. He decides he must prioritize making her scream in absolute terror. Leaning in close, he prepares to savor her final, despairing cries. A new voice cuts in, stating his nuisance has gone on long enough. An unseen force erupts, blasting Albert away from the helpless Aina. Aina pushes herself up from the floor, bruised and battered but alive. Her tear-filled eye widens in shock as she recognizes her savior. Soma stands in the doorway, a beacon of hope in the suffocating darkness. The former strongest swordsman has descended upon the land of peril. Soma apologizes, explaining that he had to prioritize saving Rina first. Aina looks up in disbelief, whispering his name through her bruised lips. He smiles gently, telling her he has come to help, just as he promised. Tears of relief stream down her face as she looks at her rescuer. Soma states his intention to heal her before they can leave this place. She weakly replies that she is unable to use any healing magic herself. He considers his options, concluding there is only one way forward. Aina tells him not to worry about her and to help Rina instead. Soma admits he doesn't understand her words but continues with his plan. He tells her to stay still, warning that his hands might slip. He places his hand on her shoulder, initiating a strange healing technique. A warm, ethereal energy flows from his hand into her wounded body. Aina's eye widens in shock as she feels the miraculous healing power. Soma exhales, the effort of the strange technique causing him some strain. He explains his secret art transfers his own life force to heal others. He asks how she feels, confident that she is now completely healed. She looks at herself in astonishment, unable to believe she is healed. Soma smiles, satisfied that there are no lingering problems with her. Aina suddenly remembers Rina, frantically insisting Soma heal her instead. He calmly informs her that he has already healed Rina before coming here. Aina breathes a sigh of relief, glad that her friend is now safe. Soma admits he is not personally happy with how things turned out. He apologizes for putting her second, feeling he acted recklessly. She flusters, insisting he has no need to apologize for saving Rina. She tells him that the fact he came to save her is more than enough. Soma listens, but Aina becomes embarrassed and tells him to just drop it. He decides they should leave, as he has no desire to stay here. He notes, however, that a quiet escape is probably too much to hope for. A torrent of dark energy erupts from the rubble where Albert landed. Soma turns to face the new threat, his expression hardening. He stands ready, his divine abilities flashing in his mind's eye. He remarks that a man as persistent as Albert will surely be disliked. Albert calmly replies from the shadows that he does not care if he is disliked. He warns Soma that taking his sacrifice will cause significant problems. Aina is shocked Albert is unharmed, but Soma notes he has recovered. Albert admits he let his guard down while enjoying himself too much. Soma dismisses Albert's earlier words, calling him a man of little consequence. He states he would have shown mercy if Albert had just stayed down. Albert seems intrigued by Soma's offer to have let him go. He bursts into manic laughter at the absurdity of the situation. His face contorts in rage as he screams at Soma not to get cocky. A massive vortex of dark energy swirls around him, aimed at Soma. He curses Soma, declaring that this is exactly why he hates brats. He tells Soma to know his place and accept his meaningless death. Soma's own power flares, a different kind of annihilating energy. With a single, fluid motion, Soma completely dissipates the magical vortex. Albert is stunned, unable to believe his best spell was so easily broken. Soma coolly states that he knows his own limits quite well. He asks if Albert is the one who fails to see the gap in their power. Albert can only grit his teeth, his pride wounded and his rage building. Soma's silhouette darkens as he offers to teach Albert a lesson in futility. Albert screams at him not to get carried away by a single lucky break. Soma calmly retorts that Albert is the one who is getting carried away. He suddenly vanishes, moving faster than the eye can possibly see. He reappears directly in front of the startled Albert. A sharp crack echoes as his simple wooden stick begins to transform. The stick splits into two distinct blades, a long tachi and a short wakizashi. Soma's eyes glow with ancient power, his true nature as the sword god revealed. In the ancient ruins, Soma confronts the cultist general, Albert. A sharp sound echoes as a weapon is swung with deadly intent. The air crackles with the sound of a powerful technique being prepared. From the shadows, Camilla looks down upon a fallen enemy with disdain. A hooded cultist, his face a mask of zealotry, lunges with a dagger. His blade is stopped just short of its target by an unseen force. Camilla looks on, unimpressed by the clumsy assassination attempt. She wonders aloud if this fallen cultist was the last of them. She questions what these 8 suspicious individuals were even trying to accomplish. With the immediate threat gone, she considers her next move. A new assassin lunges from the darkness, screaming for the Kurigane to die. Camilla calmly calls the attacker a fool for his obvious approach. The would-be killer is stunned, unable to process his sudden failure. She asks if he truly thought he could kill her while leaking such murderous intent. Defeated, the assassin recognizes her as the legendary Black Silver War Princess. Camilla stands resolute, her impossibly large axe resting on her shoulder. She wonders if the situation is truly over, questioning the purpose of the feint. A flicker of worry crosses her face as she considers the possibility of failure. Cursing, she resolves to find Soma, hoping she can still be of use. In the dungeon, Albert unleashes a torrent of fire, shouting, "Flame arrow!" The massive wave of fire rushes towards the lone, unmoving figure of Soma. Soma stands ready, holding 2 wooden sticks, prepared to face the inferno. His expression is calm, his eyes analytical and completely unfazed by the attack. He moves in a blur, his sticks weaving an intricate defense against the flames. Albert clicks his tongue in frustration, demanding to know what his opponent is. He questions if this mere brat also possesses a special grade skill. Enraged, Albert summons an even more powerful spell, a massive fireball. Soma's eye narrows, focusing intently on the incoming magical attack. The colossal sphere of fire barrels towards him, threatening to consume everything. Soma calmly prepares his counter, naming his technique, Shockwave. He swings his stick, unleashing a ripple of pure, invisible force. The shockwave travels through the air, distorting the space before the fireball. Soma notes that while Albert's power is real, his words are crude. He states that since he isn't a demon, he will grant Albert time for regret. Albert's face contorts in rage, telling Soma to die with joy. He screams at the little brat, vowing to make him pay for his insolence. He declares he will make Soma die in despair, just as Demon General Albert did. The chapter title shows a panicked Camilla, sensing a terrible premonition. Camilla feels a powerful, oppressive aura emanating from Soma's direction. The trembling sensation is familiar, she recalls it from over a decade ago. It is the unmistakable aura of the strongest of the demon generals. She breaks into a desperate sprint, crying out Soma's name in fear. She races down a corridor towards the prison cell where the girls watch the battle. Albert gathers a massive amount of dark, chaotic energy in his hand. He unleashes the full, unrestrained fury of his dark power. Rina watches the terrifying display, her eyes wide with shock and fear. A torrent of dark magic fills the chamber, swirling violently around Soma. Soma stands calmly at the center of the storm, his expression unreadable. The destructive energy rushes towards him from all sides, a vortex of shadow. Albert looks on, his glasses cracked, confident in his overwhelming attack. Rina, holding the unconscious Aina, watches the impossible scene unfold. The sight is so unbelievable that it feels like she is watching a dream. Albert, his sanity fraying, screams at Soma not to mess with him. He laments that his plan was perfect, his master's revival should have been assured. He vows that this time, he will make the worthless trash grovel on the ground. He screams that Soma is the one who has ruined everything. Soma cuts him off, stating simply that he is being far too loud. He asks why Albert doesn't just stop, as his chatter is annoying. He suggests that if Albert must speak, he should use more meaningful words. Soma delivers a crushing verdict, stating that Albert has no reason to live. The words strike Albert's very soul, and he screams Soma's name in rage. Screaming for Soma to die, he unleashes a final, cataclysmic wave of power. The maelstrom of shadow and destruction converges on the boy. Soma simply exhales, completely unimpressed by the overwhelming display. A flash of white light cuts cleanly through the encroaching darkness. Soma moves in a blur, his sword carving a perfect arc through the chaos. Albert is thrown back, gasping that this is ridiculous. Soma stands calmly, having completely nullified the devastating attack. Albert stares in utter disbelief, his ultimate technique rendered useless. He shouts again that this is impossible, that it's utterly absurd. Soma watches him, his gaze cold, analytical, and unforgiving. Albert is shocked into silence by the impossible sight before him. He screams that this can't be happening, that a brat like this cannot win. He cannot accept that he, of all people, could lose to someone like Soma. Soma becomes a whirlwind of motion, his stick a blur of relentless strikes. He says that as long as Albert complains, he will never improve. He unleashes a flurry of attacks, weaving an inescapable pattern of blows. Albert is battered by the relentless, invisible impacts. The strikes land with brutal, sharp force all over his body. Albert stands broken and defeated, panting heavily from the brutal assault. Soma asks if he has had enough time to reflect and despair. He tells Albert that if he has not, then he should simply go away and perish. He offers Albert the sole privilege of taking his own life in the next world. Albert accuses Soma of mocking him to the very end. Soma clarifies that it is not mockery, but a final sliver of compassion. He admits he intended to kill him, but such an act is no longer necessary. He states that even a being like him can remember what compassion is. Albert's expression twists into a sinister grin as a new plan forms. He tells Soma that he will come to regret showing him any mercy. A magical explosion erupts near the imprisoned and helpless girls. Camilla arrives just in time to see the blast, shouting that it's bad. Albert points a finger, triggering his final, desperate, cowardly attack. Rena watches in horror as the magical blast hurtles towards her. Albert laughs maniacally, vowing that he will not die alone. Soma lets out a simple, utterly dismissive sigh. He appears in a flash, deflecting the explosion with a casual swing. Albert is stunned, screaming that it's impossible he noticed in time. Soma remarks that Albert truly is a man who stoops to despicable lows. He states that thanks to Albert, his lingering compassion has completely vanished. Albert's face is a mask of pure terror, finally realizing his fate is sealed. The demon general, Albert, screams in fury as his dark power swirls around him. Tendrils of pure darkness converge on Soma, who stands completely unfazed. With a calm, focused gaze, Soma prepares to unleash his absolute power. In a flash, his technique cleaves through the general's shadowy, monstrous form. Albert's face contorts in agony and utter disbelief as he is annihilated. Soma declares that not even a single cell of his foe will remain. Turning his back, he tells the vanquished general to regret his foolishness. His cold gaze reveals he has no intention of ever forgiving his enemy. The chapter page shows Soma, his swordwork having just erased a demon general. Soma lowers his head, the battle concluded, a quiet intensity about him. Camilla arrives suddenly, her axe at the ready, only to realize she's late. Soma greets her casually as she admits her presence was ultimately unnecessary. He dismisses their powerful foe as nothing more than a small fry. Aina protests, reminding him that Albert was a formidable demon general. Camilla agrees with Soma, saying Albert's arrogant attitude made him seem small. Aina quietly reflects on the word, small fry, still processing the event. Camilla recalls seeing a demon general fall before, but never so overwhelmingly. She muses on Soma's power, knowing he possesses no official skills at all. She closes her eyes, accepting this truth she has known for some time. She realizes that with or without skills, one's path is their own to decide. Camilla wistfully thinks that if she'd met Soma sooner, things might be different. Turning to Soma, she declares that her business here is now finished. He acknowledges her, entrusting her to handle the aftermath of the situation. Camilla is suddenly shocked as Soma begins to collapse before her eyes. He falls to the stone floor, the strain of his efforts finally catching up. A voice cries out Soma's name in alarm as he lies unconscious. Later, Camilla is in her study, calmly reviewing a detailed report. She lets out a thoughtful sigh, processing the gravity of the information. Looking out a large window, she quietly wonders what she should do. She worries the incident could escalate into a full-blown war with the demons. With a sense of relief, she notes the worst-case scenario has been avoided. Her expression hardens as she considers the dangerous implications of her knowledge. However, a new, more troubling thought comes to her mind. The report confirms a cult was trying to resurrect the previous demon lord. She realizes these heretics are the true enemies, wishing for the world's ruin. And among them was a demon general, deepening the conspiracy's reach. This can't be a coincidence, the cult's roots must run incredibly deep. She considers what would happen if she submitted the report as it is. She decides she doesn't care what others think, she will make her own choice. Camilla believes she broke Soma's path, so it's up to him to fix it. A sly, determined smile spreads across her face as she formulates a plan. She touches the report detailing the cult's defeat and Soma's impending journey. She brings the paper to her face, her resolute decision now made. With a firm grip, she crumples the official report in her hands. A dark flame erupts in her palm, incinerating the evidence completely. She looks out, telling Soma to go and find the place where he truly shines. Soma, now recovered and carrying a pack, announces it is time to depart. Aina looks on with a worried expression, asking if he is truly sure. He asks if she's trying to stop him after he's made all his preparations. She stammers that he still hasn't even told his sister, Rina, about leaving. He admits feeling guilty, but has decided it's no longer necessary to tell her. From behind a tree, Rina watches them, her presence completely unnoticed. Soma closes his eyes, his decision to leave the estate now final. He tells Aina there is no need for her to worry about his plans. Aina gets flustered, protesting that she managed on her own for a year. He points out that was in demon lands, she has no experience among humans. She concedes his point but retorts that he is in a similar situation. He explains that he has studied and will manage, even without experience. He then pointedly asks if she truly understands the ways of human society. Aina can only groan, knowing he is right about her ignorance. She protests that she has no need to travel through human lands anyway. He illustrates how her journey would inevitably lead her back through their territory. She reluctantly admits that he has a valid point. He notes that if trouble arose, she would only burden that small village again. Aina silently reflects that returning to her father was never an option for her. She also never got to say goodbye to the old couple who took her in. She knows this journey is what she truly wants, despite her outward protests. She recalls how her eyes felt red from crying when she left them. Changing the subject, she asks if he is truly well enough to travel. He rolls his shoulder, admitting he is sore but perfectly fine for a journey. He closes his eyes and says he understands her concerns. She asks what he is getting at, confused by his sudden change in tone. He declares that Aina will set off on her journey alone, stunning her. And he, too, will set off alone, it's just a coincidence if they travel together. She deadpans that what he's suggesting amounts to the exact same thing. He smiles, telling her to just give up and be honest with herself. He asks what she dislikes so much about traveling with him. Aina looks down, flustered and unable to form a coherent response. She finally blurts out that she is afraid of being a burden to him. Soma lets out a weary sigh, at last understanding her true fear. He takes her hand firmly in his, telling her it is time to go. Aina is completely shocked by his sudden, decisive action. He tells her he wants her with him and will never consider her a burden. Aina can only stammer out a flustered agreement, her face blushing deeply. Their hands are clasped tightly together as they prepare to set off. He looks at her and quotes a line about God being in his heaven. Aina is completely baffled by his sudden, cryptic turn of phrase. He smiles, saying he just wants their journey to be a fun one. She agrees as they walk off together down a grassy, sunlit path. The scene shifts to a rowdy, crowded tavern full of rough-looking adventurers. In a quieter corner, a woman with long red hair looks weary. She rests her head on her hand, looking bored and tired. A hooded girl asks Doris if she's not drinking, reminding her she's on duty. The girl, Sheila, is introduced as someone who seems out of place here. A violent tremor shakes the land, a sign of impending chaos. A village is completely engulfed in flames, a new chapter beginning. A young boy stands alone, surrounded by writhing, shadowy flames. His eyes are wide with terror, he only wanted a little revenge. A sinister, hooded figure tells him that his revenge is now complete. The figure admits they may have overdone it, but it's a trivial matter. In the deep shadows, a hooded figure whispers, his sinister plan now in motion. The voice thanks Soma for his unwitting cooperation, offering a chilling final prayer. A great disturbance echoes from the sky, startling the tranquil forest below. Aina, her long twintails fluttering, watches the unfolding chaos with a stern gaze. With eyes squeezed shut, Aina grits her teeth in frustration, sweat beading on her brow. Rina finds the situation suspicious, and Soma agrees, declaring he will join her. Aina erupts in fury, berating the two idiots for ignoring her direct warnings. Soma calmly denies ever agreeing to her plan, while Rina shouts her own denial. Aina insists they must press onward, but Soma points toward a more suspicious path. Panicked, Aina recalls his past failures, questioning his bizarrely confident logic. Rina suddenly turns to Aina, her expression serious as she calls out her name. Aina worriedly asks Rina if it is truly wise to keep the Zaymont family a secret. Soma states it is necessary for his brother to remain ignorant for the time being. Hearing his words, Aina looks away, her face etched with a quiet, troubled sadness. She watches from behind as Soma and his sister walk ahead without her. Soma correctly guesses they were worried about Aina sleeping alone, noting the issue. He turns to Aina, asking if he was wrong to assume she was lonely. Aina blushes furiously, vehemently denying that she feels lonely in the slightest. Rina questions her flustered reaction, and Aina snaps at them both to be quiet. From afar, their playful argument continues, with Aina insisting on keeping her secrets. They finally arrive at Yarstar, a remote border town in the Radius Kingdom. The town is surrounded by a desolate, untamed wilderness teeming with dangerous monsters. Inside, the local adventurers guild buzzes with the chaotic energy of its patrons. Doris Heinzel, the acting guild manager, finds the constant liveliness rather strange. The hooded Sheila Leonhardt questions what her mother is muttering about. Doris dismisses it, while Sheila notes that busy days often bring unwelcome thoughts. Doris sees the bright side, noting that all this business allows for good food and drink. Sheila questions her mother's work ethic, but Doris insists she isn't slacking off. Lounging back, Doris reflects on the unfortunate contract that landed her in this post. A boisterous adventurer calls out, questioning how she can possibly enjoy herself here. She admits to herself that watching over the rowdy adventurers is, in a way, entertaining. A wistful smile crosses her face as she muses about the passage of time. Sheila dismisses her mumbling again, but Doris admits the job carries a heavy weight. Suddenly, the guild doors swing open as a newcomer makes a polite inquiry. A voice from off-panel confirms the location, immediately demanding to know what is happening. A monstrous boar with glowing eyes fills the doorway, causing a cry of shock. Doris and Sheila leap back, startled but prepared to face the sudden, violent threat. Rina questions Soma's actions, but he believes a strong first impression is vital. Doris shouts that this is far beyond a simple impact as something rushes past. Rina despairs that even her brother can't handle this, while a shocked Aina is speechless. Aina questions his calm demeanor, but he insists he was surprised by the beast. The other guild members panic, screaming in fear for the child's safety. Soma sighs at the commotion he's caused, noting one last thing to check. He calmly asks if this is indeed the place to register as an adventurer. He effortlessly drags the enormous carcass of the defeated boar inside the guild hall. He muses that his grand entrance seems to have had the opposite of its intended effect. Rina declares the whole situation a mistake from the start, and Aina admits she's lost. Doris observes the bizarre scene with a knowing, highly amused smirk on her face. She laughs, admitting his level of thinking is simply beyond their comprehension. She formally introduces herself and welcomes the strange trio to the Adventurers Guild. She snaps at the other gawking adventurers, ordering them to get back to work. With a weary sigh, she turns her attention back to the newcomers. Soma thanks her for the advice, acknowledging her authority as the acting guild manager. Doris dismisses his formality, explaining her prestigious position is only temporary. She muses that her future here depends entirely on how things proceed from now. Aina notes that despite her casual words, she carries herself with great confidence. Doris admits it's all a bluff, a necessary front for any successful adventurer. Rina disagrees with her assessment, and Doris decides to take that as a compliment. Her demeanor shifts to business as she asks about their adventurer registration. The three children stand before her, their expressions neutral, ready to hear her terms. Doris studies them, thinking they seem more capable than any adult in the room. Her eyes fix on Soma, sensing an extraordinary, almost unnatural power within the boy. She recalls how he single-handedly defeated a monster meant for an entire party. With a cunning smile, she proposes a little test to gauge their suitability. Soma correctly deduces the problem involves bandits preying on other adventurers. He explains his own attempt to sell materials was rejected by the local merchants. Doris confirms the local businesses are controlled, making it hard for newcomers to trade. She adds that beyond that, they must always be prepared for unforeseen dangers. Rina asks if the guild itself refuses to trade with non-members. Doris explains it's to avoid trouble, a logic Soma readily understands. Gesturing to the training area, she declares it is time for their test. Aina volunteers Soma for the test, but he asks if they all must participate. Doris simplifies the terms: if Soma passes, they all pass; if he fails, they all fail. Soma acknowledges the heavy weight of responsibility now placed entirely upon him. Aina is surprised by his calm composure, while Rina offers her full support. Doris reveals the nature of the test, a one-on-one fight against her. Soma understands immediately that this will be a mock battle, not a deathmatch. Drawing two revolvers, she clarifies that victory is not the objective of the test. With a click, she prepares her weapons, signaling the start of the challenge. Sheila calls out to her mother, her voice laced with quiet but firm concern. Doris turns in surprise, asking her daughter what the matter is. Sheila volunteers to be his opponent, offering to act as the examiner herself. With a determined nod, she confirms her resolve to face him in her mother's stead. Soma watches intently as the quiet, hooded girl steps forward to fight. Sheila draws her long katana, ready to test the mysterious boy's skills. Soma smiles confidently, his simple wooden stick held ready against his opponent. Sheila's gaze is sharp and focused, her elegant blade poised for the coming duel. Doris raises a hand, signaling that the mock battle is about to begin. With a shout, the duel starts, and both combatants rush towards each other. A close-up shows Soma's firm grip on his simple, worn wooden weapon. As they meet, his divine principles flare to life, readying his own unique technique. Sheila is shocked, realizing he intends to meet her steel blade head-on. She is baffled by his speed, questioning the nature of his special robe. They engage in a rapid exchange of blows, a dizzying whirlwind of motion. The two fighters are locked in a fierce, seemingly evenly matched struggle. Sweat drips down Sheila's face, her expression a mask of intense concentration. Soma's hand moves with impossible precision, deflecting her blade with his stick. In a flash, he closes the distance, appearing directly before a startled Sheila. He smiles gently, his wooden weapon held perfectly still at her throat. The duel concludes in a final, decisive, and shockingly swift motion. Rina realized her brother was stronger than her, reflecting on how vast the world is. Aina was completely bewildered, unable to comprehend how Soma could move so impossibly well. Sheila gripped her katana with fierce intensity, her eyes locked on her formidable opponent. Doris watched in utter disbelief, a bead of sweat tracing a path down her temple. The boy named Soma possessed a power that was far beyond anyone's wildest imagination. Yet, Doris acknowledged that Sheila's own true strength was also a formidable sight. Doris identified the curved blade as a katana, realizing it must be Sheila's true weapon. She wondered why Sheila would reveal her hidden power now, in a fight she didn't need to win. Doris concluded that Sheila wasn't forced, but had a deep personal reason to fight so hard. Aina wondered how long they would fight, asking if a test shouldn't have a clear winner. Doris explained the point was just to observe, a goal they had long since accomplished. Rina believed her brother knew this, but she questioned Sheila's reason for continuing. Doris admitted only Sheila knew her reasons, noting she wasn't usually a sore loser. Sheila pressed on, admitting to herself that something about this fight was bothering her. Rina found it natural to be concerned when facing her brother, which Aina found strange. Their weapons met again in a brilliant flash of sparks, the impact echoing loudly. The two warriors continued their high-speed dance, blades carving arcs through the air. Aina sensed the fight wasn't over, while Rina felt the painful tension in the air. Doris realized with exasperation that they intended to end it with the very next exchange. Sheila's eyes narrowed with unwavering determination, her focus absolute for the final clash. Soma met her intensity with a calm, knowing smile, completely poised and ready. He planted his feet firmly, bracing his body for the immense force of the coming blow. Sheila raised her gleaming katana high above her head, prepared to unleash her full power. Doris drew her pistol, activating her advanced gunnery skills for a rapid, precise shot. Declaring she couldn't let them go any further, she announced the end of the duel. With impossible speed, Sheila spun and gracefully deflected the incoming bullet with her blade. Doris declared the test officially over, suggesting they continue their bout another time. Soma acknowledged her decision with a simple nod, resting his sword on his shoulder. Sheila agreed, stating that she had confirmed what she needed to know and was satisfied. Doris decided it was finally time to return to business and announce the results. She informed the trio of what they likely already knew: they had officially passed the test. They could now call themselves adventurers, though she noted they lacked any proof of it. Soma questioned this, asking what she meant and bringing up the rumored guild cards. Doris explains that unfortunately, she and her deputy cannot issue a guild card here. Aina worries about going to a new town where they know none of the staff. Sheila notes that if they go elsewhere, they will just have to take another test. Rina sighs at the inconvenience and asks her brother what they should do. Soma calmly inquires about the nearest town where a guild card can be issued. Doris points to a map, showing the town of Renfrew, a week's journey away. Soma considers the distance, remarking that a week by carriage is quite a long trip. Doris assures him the town is worth visiting, even without the guild card as a goal. She describes it as a prosperous city, perfect for gathering information. Her expression turns serious as she asks the purpose of their journey. With a calm smile, Soma reveals their quest is for the sake of magic. A shocked Doris asks if he's a mage, as he looks nothing like one. Soma confirms her observation is correct, adding that he has no magic skill. Completely baffled, Doris asks why he would travel for magic he cannot use. He explains his journey is precisely because he can't use it, to find a way. The sheer audacity of his goal leaves both Doris and Sheila utterly speechless. Soma looks back at them, genuinely confused by their stunned silence. Doris marvels that someone would defy the absolute authority of the skill system. Sheila has a shocking realization: someone else shares her seemingly impossible quest. Overcome with a sudden wave of emotion, she hides her face in her hood. When asked if she is well, Sheila lowers her hood, declaring they can be trusted. She pulls back her hood completely, revealing her pointed elven ears to Soma. With newfound resolve, she prepares to properly introduce herself to the group. She is Sheila Leonhardt, an elf, and she asks them to join her at nearby ruins. The scene shifts to the crumbling, vine-choked ruins of an ancient structure. A terrified adventurer, his face pale with sweat, gasps that this is ridiculous. He stumbles away, muttering that this place was meant to be a simple ruin. From the shadows, a hidden figure notes that this is the third one. The observer muses that their plan is proceeding, but a final piece is missing. The shadowy hunter appears silently behind the terrified man. The adventurer spins around, his face contorted in a mask of pure horror. The aftermath shows a still body and a sword plunged into the stone floor. The killer departs, deciding to observe their new targets before making a move. A sinister, hooded figure confirms his suspicions, questioning the storyteller's intentions. His malevolent grin widens as he asks for his story to be spread. He reveals his partner, a colossal, terrifying dragon wreathed in dark flame. A wagon clatters to a stop outside the local adventurers' guild. The travelers disembark, their journey reaching a temporary stop in a new town. Soma and his companions stand ready, beginning a new chapter of their quest. Doris, the guild manager, entrusts Sheila's personal quest to the small group. Soma questions her immediate trust, while Aina worries it is too soon. Doris winks, stating this was Sheila's decision and she trusts her own judgment. With a final wave, she sends the party on their way to Renfrew. Inside the wagon, the elf Sheila gazes pensively at the distant horizon. The journey begins, the travelers settling in for the long road ahead. Soma asks if these ancient ruins are the key to finally learning magic. Sheila recalls being told of the ruins by a suspicious, black-robed man. A flashback reveals her informant's sinister face and his cryptic, tantalizing words. The man had told her of a legend surrounding the nearby ancient ruins. He manipulated adventurers, seeking someone strong enough to explore the ruins for him. Soma analyzes the situation, noting the man's motives are blatantly suspicious. Sheila confirms feeling an ominous power, admitting she cannot face it alone. Rina understands now why Sheila sought them out for this dangerous quest. Rina suggests finding powerful allies, but worries their foe has already done so. While Aina frets over the danger, Soma resolves to simply break any trap. Their journey continues, taking them from the open road into deeper wilderness. They finally arrive, standing before a massive, ziggurat-like ruin in the forest. Soma realizes a powerful barrier hides the ruin from all magical detection. Aina worries they have rushed into this without making proper preparations. Soma reassures her that this is merely a scouting mission for now. With his mind made up, he decides it is time to proceed. He takes the first determined steps toward the ruin's dark, imposing entrance. Sheila follows him inside, stepping from the bright sunlight into the gloom. Her boot lands softly on the ancient stone floor of the silent ruin. A magical trap suddenly springs to life, ensnaring them all completely. A torrent of arcane energy erupts from the ground, engulfing them in light. Expecting a harsh teleportation, Soma calmly notes the location is surprisingly ordinary. Sheila closed her eyes, murmuring that she had prepared herself for this outcome. Aina was terrified, finding her friend's serious composure completely unnerving. Her fear erupted into a scream as shadowy ghosts materialized, surrounding them all. Yet, Soma stood unflustered, calmly stating that there was no problem here. Taking his cue, Sheila let out a sharp grunt and prepared to fight. She focused her spirit, channeling her special-grade archery and divine protection. Her eyes narrowed with intense concentration, locking onto her spectral targets. Unleashing her mind's eye, she loosed a volley that sliced the ghosts apart. Soma casually observed her work, noting his slight worry had been unfounded. Sheila looked towards him, confused, as the ghosts near him had simply vanished. Aina demanded to know how they were cutting ghosts. Soma found this puzzling. She insisted that ghosts were incorporeal and couldn't be hurt by normal attacks. Soma pondered this, while Sheila theorized her special grade skill was the reason. Rina disagreed, and Aina added that Soma didn't even have such a skill. The revelation struck Sheila with the force of a physical blow, leaving her speechless. She spun around, demanding to know what they meant by that shocking statement. Soma turned to his sister, casually asking if he had forgotten to tell Sheila. He then confirmed the truth, admitting he possessed no skills whatsoever. Sheila's face was a mask of pure, unadulterated shock and disbelief. She reeled, trying to reconcile his immense sword skill with his complete lack of talent. She admitted to herself that she didn't understand what was happening at all. She concluded he was simply an unconventional person who defied all common sense. Soma noticed her stunned silence and asked if something was the matter. She quickly composed herself, her eyes downcast as she insisted it was nothing. With the ghosts dispatched, the three companions continued deeper into the ruins. They eventually reached a large, dead-end chamber with no apparent exit. Soma's hand rose, pointing towards a sliver of light high above them. The group gazed up at the impossibly high ledge, their only way forward. Without a word, Soma crouched down, gathering immense power in his legs. He launched himself upwards with incredible force, defying the structure's towering height. He landed gracefully on the high ledge, the stone barely stirring beneath him. "It seems we've arrived," he announced calmly, much to Aina's astonishment. Before them lay a vast hall, the true heart of the ancient ruins. Aina observes the stone altar, questioning the shadowy form looming behind it. A sharp gasp of horror escapes Rina as she sees the creature. A terrifying black dragon of bone and shadow glares back at them. Rina recalls this is a dragon shrine, but feels something is amiss. Alarmed, Rina calls out to her brother as he faces the beast. Soma calmly raises a hand, stepping forward to confront the dark dragon. He gently places his hand upon the spectral creature's shadowy chest. With a disappointed look, Soma declares the whole affair rather underwhelming. Aina erupts in frustration, questioning his reckless and casual approach to danger. Ignoring her, Soma asks Sheila what kind of treasure they should expect. He recalls the promise that Sheila's wish would be granted in this place. Sheila realizes something is strange, only Doris knew of her true wish. Soma confirms her suspicion, admitting he knew it was a trap all along. Sheila apologizes, but Soma explains her belief in the promise was natural. He turns to Aina, asking what she has been doing during their investigation. Aina stands by the altar, noting there was nothing there just moments before. She explains that a strange, unsettling feeling is emanating from the altar. A sudden grinding sound reveals a hidden mechanism activating within the stone. As Sheila questions her, a flustered Aina insists she did not do anything. Soma calmly tells them to relax, saying it was designed to be found. Sheila discovers a stone tablet hidden within the newly opened compartment. She recognizes the markings as writing but cannot understand the ancient script. With her elven knowledge, she identifies it as the ancient divine script. The others are amazed, knowing the language is from a forgotten, ancient era. Sheila sighs, believing no one alive could possibly read the ancient text. Soma then recites the inscription, "A power that reaches magic's peak sleeps here." Rina stares in disbelief, shocked that her brother can read the script. He deduces the promised power was once here but has already been stolen. Sheila agrees but admits she still holds out hope for another discovery. Soma quietly confirms that her thinking on the matter is correct. He strokes his chin, his mind carefully analyzing the situation before them. He wonders if these simple gimmicks were meant to be easily beaten. He realizes something different must have happened when Sheila first came alone. Soma holds a tablet, shocked to see the familiar written language of his past life. He decides it is time for them to head back, and the girls readily agree. In a desolate, ruined corridor, unseen figures have been observing their every move. Tendrils of dark, ominous energy begin to swirl around one of the mysterious observers. A hooded figure muses that the one they were eagerly expecting has finally arrived. A second figure insists that allowing Soma to proceed is best for their grand plan. Resigned, the first figure declares that everything they do is for their master's ideals. Later, the adventurers gather around a tavern table laden with a celebratory feast. Holding his mug, Soma seems momentarily confused, wondering what they are toasting to. Aina suggests toasting their success, while Sheila mentions she has other leads to follow. They all raise their mugs, milk for the girls, water for Soma, in a hearty toast. Soma eats, reflecting on whether their strange outcome was good luck or bad. Sheila notes that while their main goal failed, it was a good experience. A flashback reveals their unexpected discovery of a massive, untouched treasure vault. He considers how their future is now easier, as they have more than enough money. Rina adds that the WYRMs remain sold for so much they won't worry for a year. Their meal is interrupted as a mysterious hooded figure approaches their table. The figure is a gnarled old woman, her face a roadmap of unsettling scars. Soma asks if she is addressing them, and she requests a brief moment of their time. The woman tells Sheila not to be wary, as she is already aware of her situation. Sheila reacts with surprise, realizing the old woman is her mysterious informant. Soma understands, this woman was the one who first told them about the ruins. The informant is glad Sheila understands, confirming she knows of the ruins. The woman gestures to their feast, acknowledging it as a result of her information. She seems pleased that they put her valuable information to good and profitable use. Sheila explains that while they found some treasure, the main prize was already gone. The woman feigns great dismay, apologizing for their seemingly wasted efforts. As compensation, she offers them information about another ruin with a similar secret. Soma listens intently, his expression thoughtful as he considers the intriguing new offer. Their journey takes them to a tall, crumbling tower reaching into a cloudy sky. Aina nervously asks if the dilapidated structure is truly safe enough to enter. Sheila, however, insists that this is exactly what she had been hoping for. Aina stares up at the crumbling tower, remarking on its truly ruinous state. The ancient ruins crumble as Aina fears the very ground will soon collapse. Aina wonders if the inside of the ancient tower might be surprisingly welcoming. With a great grinding of stone, they push open the heavy, imposing doors. Aina cries out in shock as they are immediately swallowed by absolute darkness. She complains that it's pitch black, making it impossible for them to explore. Soma says he brought a lantern, but Aina insists she can handle this. With a quiet command for light, she summons a glowing orb in her hand. The magical radiance floods the corridor, pushing back the oppressive shadows. Aina notices Soma trembling and asks if he has spotted something strange. He admits his envy of her casual magic, which leaves her flustered. Soma notes the crumbling walls and forbids Aina from using any attack spells. Aina looks downcast but quietly acknowledges that she understands the order. The group ventures deeper into the silent, dusty stone corridor. With a sudden burst of movement, an enemy prepares to strike from the shadows. Sheila calmly draws her bow, unleashing a devastating special-grade archery skill. She follows up with a rapid volley of arrows, a technique of twin strikes. A bead of sweat forms on her cheek as she sees more enemies rise. Rina gracefully dodges a skeleton's attack, her long pigtails flying behind her. She lands lightly on her feet, poised and ready for a counterattack. With a flash of her sword, she cleanly bisects the skeletal warrior. Rina thanks Sheila for the assistance, glad she was not a liability. Soma notes they are on the 4th floor and skeleton attacks are increasing. He senses a presence lurking within the ominous, dark archway ahead. He asks if his companions are ready, and Aina confidently says they are. Soma admits it was a formality, as he had planned to keep Aina back. Aina protests, insisting she's used to this and feels safe with him. Rina teases her, asking if it's because her brother is there. Blushing, Aina stammers that while Rina isn't wrong, she didn't say that. Soma smiles slightly, remarking that he now bears a heavy responsibility. He peers cautiously around the corner into the next chamber, his face serious. He leads his companions into a vast, cavernous room at the tower's peak. A powerful, unseen force makes its presence known with a sharp, intimidating sound. Soma shields his eyes from an unseen light, muttering that he expected this. Aina looks up in awe, realizing they have reached the very top floor. A colossal dragon made of black, skeletal energy lets out a silent roar. Soma calmly identifies the foe as a black dragon, just as he predicted. Aina asks if that's all, but Sheila warns that it isn't their only problem. Soma confirms he can already see the other threat, which confuses his sister. Sheila wonders what would be the most troublesome attack in this situation. Aina lets out a sudden gasp of surprise as a new threat emerges. A torrent of sharpened bones begins to rain down from the ceiling above. The hail of bones gathers on the floor, beginning to coalesce into a form. A massive skeletal giant rises from the bone storm, its eyes glowing malevolently. Soma calls it a crude trap, while Sheila notes such things are common. Aina panics at the giant's appearance, and Soma asks why she is so flustered. She furiously demands to know how he can remain so calm at this sight. Soma calmly observes that the creature is certainly large, but that's all. Sheila takes aim once more, her expression hardening with focused determination. Her powerful arrow technique, Katana Ryuden, shatters the giant's leg. She grits her teeth, realizing the attack felt far too light and ineffective. The shattered leg bones instantly knit back together, regenerating in a flash. The giant retaliates with a powerful blow, forcing Sheila to evade. She continues to dodge its relentless assault with nimble, elven grace. Sheila reports that it's no use, the creature instantly repairs all damage. Soma knows the only way to win is to attack faster than its regeneration. He concludes that against a foe this massive, such a strategy is impossible. Aina unleashes her magic, chanting the incantation for her blazing bomb. Her powerful spell engulfs the skeletal giant in a massive, fiery explosion. The force of the blast sends shrapnel and debris flying across the chamber. Soma moves with blinding speed to deflect a stray fragment from the explosion. He critiques Aina's attack, noting that it is far too simple and monotonous. He then points out that the giant has not moved from its original spot. Behind the creature, the tower wall is now heavily cracked from the blast. Soma's eyes narrow in realization as he figures out the enemy's true goal. He declares their intent is to destroy the tower, which horrifies Aina. He decides there is no time to waste searching for a conventional solution. Soma's voice commands darkness, unleashing his own overwhelming power. He stands alone against the chaos, his resolve as solid and unchanging as ever. With his cheat-level sword skills unleashed, he prepares to find their true objective. Far away, Camilla sits at her desk, reviewing a stack of official reports. She notes this is the 7th report of a dragon, mentioning Veritas Kingdom's movements. She sighs to herself, admitting that perhaps she is overthinking the situation. She gazes out of a barred window, her expression heavy with contemplation. On a distant battlefield, a cloaked man declares he must tell that person where to go. The man, a grim warrior, adjusts his ornate, white and silver armor. An aide asks for his assessment of the battlefield, but he gives a vague reply. Klaus Zaymont, the Sword King, observes that the situation is as it always is. His aide suspects a plot to keep them locked in this 3-year stalemate. Klaus agrees, saying that's why he is overthinking, wishing that we're here. He decides that is enough for the day and turns to return to camp. Back in the ruins, the battle is over, leaving rubble strewn across the floor. Soma examines a stone slate, recognizing the trap from the previous ruins. He discovers a black orb with glowing runes, wondering if this is their prize. He deciphers the text, learning that a great magical power sleeps within. The group decides to return to the Adventurers Guild to gather more intel. They exit the tower, leaving the straw-covered floor of the entrance behind. From the shadows, a cloaked figure watches them leave, moving with silent speed. The figure muses that with the item secured, the plan can proceed. He notes Soma's group is skilled, but wonders if he hopes for too much. He decides he has enough information now to begin the final preparations. The figure declares that everything he does is for his master's ideals. The group arrives back at the Adventurers Guild, its sign hanging overhead. They enter the bustling guild hall, filled with the noise of other adventurers. Sheila approaches a group of men, presenting the mysterious black orb to them. The adventurers can only stare at the strange object with looks of confusion. Soma notes that, as expected, their information gathering has yielded nothing. Aina reports that she only heard a rumor about a recently destroyed village. Sheila confirms that no one she asked had any idea what the orb was. Soma smiles, deciding they must simply ask someone who is likely to know. As he speaks, a menacing, hooded figure suddenly appears, blocking their path. The man sneers, surprised they noticed him, and promises a little surprise. Aina is completely stunned, wondering where the mysterious figure came from. Soma calmly chides her, noting her lack of vigilance was mentioned before. Flustered, Aina asks if she was truly the only one who didn't notice. Rina and Sheila sheepishly admit they were also oblivious, frustrating Aina. Soma turns his attention to the old woman, expecting another clue. The old woman smiles, pleased he is quick to understand her purpose. Rina correctly deduces that the woman has come to teach them something. Aina notes that while the help is needed, the timing is suspiciously perfect. The woman cryptically attributes her timely arrival to the wisdom of her years. She then formally asks the group if they are ready to listen. Rina looks at her seriously, confirming that they are prepared to hear her out. The old woman is pleased, smiling at their attentiveness. Soma holds up the black orb, demanding to know what it really is. The woman explains the orb itself is powerless, it is merely a key. Aina and Rina ponder this, wondering where the key's corresponding lock is. Sheila has a flash of insight, realizing its connection to the ruins. The woman decides it's faster to simply show them the ruins' location. She turns with a flourish, ready to guide them on their new journey. Her cloaked figure vanishes into a shadowy doorway, beckoning them to follow. Soma reflects that their next immediate objective has now been decided. Rina gently questions his optimism, though she admits he is right. She then asks her brother why he has been so unusually quiet. Aina agrees, realizing he hasn't spoken much since their journey began. Soma dismisses their worries, saying he simply has much to think about. Arriving at a new ruin, Soma remarks on their growing familiarity with them. Aina laughs, admitting her initial anxieties on these trips have vanished. Rina agrees it's natural to feel comfortable after so much exploration. Sheila confesses that she has never explored so much in her entire life. Soma observes that this particular ruin is a new type they've not seen. They gaze upon overgrown stones, and Aina notes the unique, subtle barrier. Sheila theorizes that most people would never even think to approach it. Rina agrees, finding the place far too eerie to explore out of curiosity. Soma concludes its location on the town's outskirts kept it hidden. He finds its scale hard to judge but accepts it's just another ruin. Sheila offers a warning, a ruin's interior can be deceiving. Rina eagerly suggests they go see for themselves, and Soma agrees. The group ventures down a path into the dark heart of the ruin. They carefully navigate the ancient, gnarled roots covering the stonework. They find themselves in a clearing deep within the dilapidated structure. Ahead of them, the path leads into a dark, cavernous maw. Soma notes the strange tranquility, which makes Aina question his meaning. He explains it's odd that they haven't encountered a single monster. Rina realizes he is right, the ruin is unervingly empty of creatures. Sheila explains monsters inhabit ruins unless they're sealed off from outside. Aina understands they must be extra vigilant, and Soma silently concurs. Aina admits that she feels surprisingly calm, despite the strangeness. When Soma asks why, she blames his own oddly reassuring presence. Rina proudly announces that she too has grown accustomed to these adventures. Soma praises his sister for her progress with a gentle head pat. Aina mutters about the siblings' complete and utter lack of caution. She stands with a hand on her chin, contemplating the path forward. Sheila smiles knowingly, impressed by the siblings' unwavering trust. They press deeper into the ruin, the path growing more treacherous. Soma suddenly halts, his body tensing as he senses something ahead. Rina turns back, asking her brother if he has found something. Soma confirms her suspicion, his expression growing grim and focused. Aina asks what their objective is, Soma replies it is at least related. Rina declares her unwavering loyalty, vowing to follow her brother's lead. Aina sighs, agreeing to follow Soma's decision as she always has. Sheila quietly entrusts the coming confrontation to Soma, her faith absolute. Soma accepts their trust, warning everyone to be on their highest alert. They move forward down a long, straight corridor carved from the earth. In the distance, a lone, mysterious figure stands waiting for them. The figure is a woman with long, white hair, her face obscured. Aina senses an immense power, wondering why another person is here. Soma corrects her that it is not a person, though Aina disagrees. A closer look reveals the woman's otherworldly, almost divine features. In a flash of light, magnificent feathered wings unfurl from her back. The girls are stunned, realizing this being is not human, but something else. Soma calmly identifies the creature as an angel, questioning their shock. Aina can only repeat the word angel with utter confusion. Both Rina and Sheila confirm they have never heard of such a being. Soma is taken aback, asking if they truly don't know what angels are. Aina asks if they're famous, Rina wonders if they are a type of demon. Soma silently processes this bizarre gap in their world's common knowledge. He concludes that regardless, the angel is an enemy blocking their path. The angel readies her sword, her expression cold and fiercely determined. Soma charges forward, his wooden stick clashing against her holy blade. His eyes are sharp with focus as the incredibly intense duel begins. He swings his stick with immense force, meeting her divine power head-on. The angel's sword carves a gleaming, deadly arc through the dark corridor. She brings her blade down, but Soma's defense proves to be absolute. The clash of mortal wood and divine steel echoes through the ruins. Soma is pushed back by the force but remains steady, his stance unbroken. Aina watches in disbelief, whispering that this clash is impossible. The angel herself is shocked that Soma is managing to block her sword. From a safe distance, Sheila asks if they should go to Soma's aid. Rina firmly states there is no need, as they would only hinder him. Sheila quietly agrees, knowing they would just be a nuisance in this fight. Aina murmurs in awe, finally understanding the true level of his power. The two powerful combatants break apart, pausing in the heat of battle. Soma assesses his opponent, acknowledging her truly incredible strength. The angel identifies herself as a phantasmal species, a being of legend. Sheila begins to explain that such species are born from human concepts. For example, the collective idea of the strongest coalesce to form dragons. When born from the stars, their existence becomes known to all humanity. Soma concludes that, paradoxically, if no one knows of it, it cannot be won. He finds it strange that his past life's knowledge is useless here. The fact that the name Angel is completely unknown is very unexpected. He stares at the winged warrior, his mind racing to understand what she is. The angel was an irrational design, a living weapon meant to emulate divinity. Soma wondered if angels truly existed in this world's distant, forgotten past. Sheila, watching the stalemate, asked Soma if the angel was difficult to defeat. Soma replied that just defeating it wasn't hard, but it would take time. Rina noted Soma's ease, but Aina saw they lacked firepower to break its defense. Sheila, tired of relying on Soma, declared it was time to lend a hand. Gripping her sword, she believed she could create an opening for them. A whirlwind of energy erupted as she chanted a powerful command to disperse. The holy warrior lunged forward, its blade aimed directly at Soma. Soma's eyes narrowed, his focus absolute as he prepared to counter the attack. He met the angel's charge, moving with impossible speed to intercept the blow. With a swift motion, he raised his arm to block the incoming blade. The clash of holy steel was met not by a sword, but by Soma's body. The angel's powerful strike was stopped mid-air by an unexpected defense. Soma delivered a sharp kick, sending the angel stumbling backward in surprise. The impact of the blow resonated with a sharp, cracking sound. He followed up instantly with a brutal punch directly to the angel's face. His arm was a blur, the force of the blow evident in his form. But the angel's counterattack came with a surprising, unexpected ferocity. Though reeling from the blows, the divine warrior remained standing, undeterred. Rina and the others cried out his name in alarm from a distance. Soma clicked his tongue in annoyance, bracing for the angel's real power. The angel let out a deafening roar of pure, destructive holy energy. It declared itself the sword that severs demons, a vessel of righteous fury. Soma brought his arm up just in time, blocking the cataclysmic blast. The attack left his arm bleeding and his clothes shredded from the force. In his other hand, the simple wooden sword finally shattered into pieces. Aina called him reckless, but Rina was confused by her statement. Aina explained he held back his power to protect them from the fallout. Rina realized the attack was conceptual, meant to destroy destruction itself. The angel's wounds began to seal, its divine form regenerating before them. Rina cried out in disbelief, shocked that the creature was still alive. Sheila realized he prioritized their safety over a quick and easy victory. Rina suggested a retreat, and Aina agreed it was wise, especially for Soma. Another blast of energy sent Soma skidding backward across the stone floor. The angel shrieked that from his position, Soma's defense was impossible. Rina turned to her companions, desperately asking if they could do anything. Aina, lacking confidence but full of resolve, said she had to try. Rina agreed, refusing to be the one who held her brother back. Sheila watched them, her own determination hardening in her gaze. The angel unleashed a massive torrent of destructive power, aimed to end it. Sheila stepped forward, declaring her ultimate technique, a single, decisive strike. Channeling her skills, she unleashed a powerful slash meant to cleave anything. Her eyes widened in utter shock as her ultimate attack failed completely. Her katana was deflected, sent spinning back towards her and the others. The angel stood completely unharmed, looking down upon its defeated foe. In an instant, Soma moved, a blur of motion to intercept the danger. Rina wondered if he could possibly follow up with another attack so quickly. Sheila could only watch, still reeling from the failure of her technique. His gaze was sharp and focused, already calculating his next move. His hand shot out, reaching for the spinning hilt of the katana. He placed himself directly in the path of the blade to shield Sheila. He called out to Sheila, a sharp question in his voice. He caught the blade effortlessly, a small smile on his face. As expected. The angel let out a sharp cry of alarm at this sudden turn. Soma raised the captured sword, declaring the very same technique as his own. The blade sliced through the angel, cleaving its divine form in two. Its body dissolved into motes of light, defeated by its own technique. The light faded, leaving only Soma standing in the now silent chamber. Rina remarked that with a proper weapon, it was simple for her brother. Aina found the whole display strange, much to Rina's confusion. Aina pointed out how easily Soma caught the sword Sheila had thrown. Rina dismissed it as normal, saying catching it wasn't that difficult. Aina facepalmed, realizing she was the only normal person in the group. Soma asked what they were discussing, and Aina called them all freaks. He turned to Sheila, telling her that she had been a great help. Sheila looked down at her sword, muttering that it was her technique. Soma admitted to imitating her magnificent technique because it looked so effective. Sheila was flustered, finding his praise for the stolen move complicated. Aina asked what was next, while Rina noted Soma lacked a weapon. Soma spotted the angel's dropped sword, deciding he would just borrow it. He assured the worried Aina that it would be fine, as it wasn't cursed. Aina still looked deeply unconvinced and worried by his casual decision. They ventured deeper into the ruins, down a long and dark corridor. Soma's expression was serious as he scanned the path ahead for threats. They reached a dead end, which Soma identified as part of a trap. The massive stone door before them appeared to be completely seamless. Sheila suggested the opening mechanism must be located in another place. Aina concluded they needed to go back, but Soma disagreed with her. He told Rina that their objective was almost certainly beyond this door. He saw no need to retreat, he would simply remove the obstacle. He walked forward, approaching the colossal stone barrier with clear intent. He drew back his fist and punched the stone door with immense force. The massive door cracked and crumbled under the power of his single blow. He calmly dusted his hands, remarking that he had created an entrance. Aina exploded, yelling that he was always doing things defying common sense. Rina simply smiled, saying that was just like her brother, ever impressive. Soma dismissed the argument, saying what's done is done, and they should move. The group proceeded through the opening into a vast, brightly lit chamber. Soma looked around with recognition, realizing exactly where they were now. Rina pointed out the colossal statue of a black, terrifying dragon. Aina scanned the area, noting the conspicuous absence of an altar. Rina wondered if this was the same dragon statue they had seen before. Soma looked at the effigy, stating there was only one thing left to do. Rina noted the statue's immense size, estimating it was 5 meters tall. Sheila held up the black orb, deciding to try it and see what happens. She knelt down, carefully placing the mysterious orb on the chamber floor. The orb made contact with the stone floor with a faint, sharp tap. A torrent of dark energy erupted from the orb, swirling around her. The sheer force of the released energy sent Sheila stumbling backward. The hooded elf, Sheila, wonders aloud why the anticipated trap has not yet sprung. The air around Soma, Rina, and Aina crackles with energy, yet nothing appears. Soma's senses tingle, his calm expression shifting to one of quiet suspicion. A sinister, cloaked figure emerges, amused that they simply brute-forced the ruins puzzles. He declares that their clumsy entrance was all part of the grand spectacle. With a scarred and stitched grin, he thanks them for helping him reach his goal. Soma coolly dismisses him, stating he has no reason to be thanked by such a person. The man waves it off, insisting they have performed a great service for his plan. In place of thanks, Soma says he has a single question for their mysterious host. The man agrees, finding that their gratitude has put him in a generous mood. Soma gestures to a massive, shadowy form, demanding to know what it truly is. Their host agrees they have a right to know, though that right will soon be meaningless. He grandly reveals the beast as the legendary evil dragon that was once sealed, Fafnir. He explains that the jewel they found was Fafnir's seal, which they have now broken. The shadowy form of the ancient dragon stirs, its immense power palpable in the air. Sheila is frozen in terror, the name Evil Dragon echoing with a dreadful finality. She remembers the legends of her elven ancestors, who died to seal the beast. With dawning horror, she realizes she has undone their sacred sacrifice with her own hands. Soma cuts through her despair with a single, sharp, and disbelieving word: lies. The cultist chuckles, claiming the creature looming before them is all the proof needed. Soma admits he knows of the evil dragon but finds this display far too noisy. He demands to know the man's purpose for resurrecting such a dangerous entity. The man grins, revealing his simple wish is to rampage and sow chaos in the world. Soma finds the motive cliché, questioning if such a feat is even possible for him. The cultist raises a hand, intrigued that Soma would question his capability. Soma points out that Fafnir was defeated once and could simply be sealed again. The man dismisses this, explaining that resealing the dragon is now an impossibility. He reveals the original seal required splitting Fafnir into 12 parts. Each of the 12 seals cost the life of a high elf, a price they cannot pay again. Sheila confirms the grim truth: only 6 high elves remain, not enough for the ritual. Soma draws his sword, deciding he must simply eliminate the one trying to break the seal. The man tells him not to worry, as this is the final seal that needs to be broken. Fafnir's voice rumbles, stating that the act of causing chaos is its own reason. The cultist adds that their god is a being that desires only death and destruction. Aina cries out, horrified, realizing her suspicions about them being heretics were correct. The man scoffs at the label, knowing the very definition of heresy will soon change. Rina points out that for a creature of chaos, the evil dragon seems awfully subdued. He explains this is merely a prelude, as his comrades are already making their moves. Soma, having heard enough, asks if he may pose one final question. He looks the man in the eye, demanding to know why he revealed so much to them. The cultist's body shakes with silent laughter, finding the answer to be obvious. With a snap of his fingers, he declares his true intention: to kill them all. A massive, slitted reptilian eye opens in the darkness, fixing them with its gaze. The girls cry out as a paralyzing pressure freezes them in place. The man gloats that the dragon's gaze is proof that everything he said was true. As a reward for their help, he offers them a gift, which Sheila vehemently refuses. He insists, stating that he always rewards those who collaborate with his plans. He offers a cruel choice: they can pick just one person among them to be saved. Rina cries out in anguish, asking what kind of twisted reward that could be. He calmly explains that escaping certain death is the greatest reward imaginable. Rina grits her teeth, cursing the man for his sadistic and cruel games. Soma quietly states that he has no intention of accepting such a regrettable offer. The man acknowledges his choice but promises to spread the word of their success. He warns that if they do not choose soon, a terrible fate will befall them all. Soma closes his eyes, dismissing the threat, stating there is no need for such worry. In a single, impossible motion, Soma's blade cleaves the massive shadow dragon in two. The cultist scoffs, refusing to believe Soma could actually harm the legendary beast. He raves that this was the creature that once plunged the entire world into terror. His confidence shatters as his clouded eyes finally register the impossible reality. The two halves of the great dragon begin to separate, its shadowy form destabilizing. The man can only utter a single, broken syllable of disbelief, huh? Fafnir's colossal form violently disintegrates, its essence unraveling into nothingness. The once mighty beast collapses, its power fading into dust and shadow on the floor. The cultist stands alone amidst the fading darkness, muttering the word, impossible. His shock explodes into a furious tantrum as he screams his disbelief over and over. He cannot accept that a dragon, even a mere part of one, could be slain. Soma calmly asks on what basis the man defines what is possible or impossible. He explains a dragon is just a phantom, if it cannot withstand a blow, it will vanish. Soma's gaze is sharp, asking if this isn't a truth too obvious to even discuss. The man dismisses logic, stating that only the result matters, 1 of 12 is gone. He concedes it is a painful loss, but a cheap price to learn of Soma's true threat. Soma tells him not to worry, as he no longer has any intention of showing mercy. The cultist suddenly coughs up blood, shocked by a wound that appeared from nowhere. He stumbles, a thin red line bisecting his chest as he begins to collapse. He hits the ground with a thud, his body already failing him completely. Soma calmly states that he forgot to mention one thing, he had already cut him. The dying man realizes in horror that Soma had only shown him a spatial illusion. Soma asks how his real body could have possibly remained unharmed from his true strike. The cultist's eyes widen with the terrifying understanding of the power he has faced. With a final, gurgling laugh, he admits that he was the foolish one all along. As he dissolves, he declares his role is over and leaves the rest to his comrades. Soma watches impassively as the man's body turns to dust and vanishes completely. Aina calls it an anticlimactic end, while Rina remarks that it is just like Soma. Soma muses that direct action was faster than his plan to extract information. Aina insists they couldn't have let him go, believing only Soma could have won. Rina agrees that their role is to help her brother achieve the impossible. Soma admits that even for him, fighting a dragon head-on would be a difficult task. With the immediate threat gone, he wonders aloud where they should go next. Rina suggests gathering information but worries that it may already be too late. Aina agrees, noting that they cannot afford to be leisurely with their time. Soma announces that there is no need to think about their next destination. Rina is surprised, asking if her brother already has a lead for them to follow. He deduces the heretic was near the site, but they have no way of knowing where. Soma clarifies that the man's words created an indirect link to his true location. Aina gets a terrible feeling as she sees Soma readying the angel's strange sword. Soma calmly tells her that her bad feeling is merely her imagination. He raises the sword high, announcing to the girls that it is time to go. Aina desperately pleads for him to wait, her protest lost in his decisive action. He swings the blade, tearing a brilliant and violent rift in the fabric of reality. The ancient ruins are left behind as they are pulled into the unknown portal. A monstrous, shadowy dragon recoils, sensing a sudden loss of its power. It confers with hooded figures, acknowledging the time of their pact has arrived. The dragon roars, vowing to continue its long battle of attrition. With a mighty flap of its wings, the shadowy beast takes to the sky. The scene transitions to the Radius Kingdom, within the Zaymont ducal lands. Klaus Zaymont, a formidable warrior, sternly asks if a recent report is true. His subordinate confirms it, stating their mages have verified the troubling information. Klaus finds it strange for the enemy to launch a full-scale attack now. He asks about enemy reinforcements, but his aide reports seeing none at all. Klaus muses that the open terrain makes any obvious magical assault too predictable. He decides further speculation is pointless and will make the final judgment himself. With a heavy sigh, Klaus announces his decision to go to the front. His subordinate is shocked, asking if he is certain about this course of action. Klaus explains it is the best option, he will not let his men die needlessly. The aide apologizes for questioning him and rushes to relay the command. As his subordinate departs, Klaus tells him that he is counting on him. Left alone, Klaus exhales, the immense pressure of command weighing on him. His armored hand tightens around the hilt of his greatsword. He stands resolutely, his back to the door, preparing for the conflict ahead. Suddenly, the room is rocked by a violent explosion that shatters the door. A powerful shockwave rips through the air, signaling the start of an assault. The battle begins as the Sword King, Soma's father, is suddenly attacked. Outside, Armored soldiers are thrown back by the overwhelming force of the blow. Klaus, now on the battlefield, demands a report on the current situation. He takes a pair of binoculars to survey the enemy forces for himself. Through the lenses, he sees a disciplined formation of enemy knights. He notes their morale is unusually high and wonders if reinforcements have arrived. His aide confirms there are no enemy warriors present who can match Klaus. Klaus lowers the binoculars, pondering the enemy's unexpected strength and resolve. He decides direct confrontation is faster than trying to guess their strategy. One of his loyal soldiers asks him to please leave some fighting for them. With a confident smirk, Klaus replies that it all depends on the enemy. He announces his departure, preparing to face the entire army by himself. He leaps forward, his body a blur of speed and focused power. He charges across the barren field, his dark cape billowing behind him. His hand grips his sword hilt, ready for the imminent clash. The enemy knights brace for impact, preparing to meet his solitary charge. Klaus warns them he will try not to hit them but makes no guarantees. He tells them to simply do their very best to dodge what is coming. He unleashes a shockwave of power, tearing a massive chasm in the earth. Klaus lands on the edge of the new cliff, looking down at his foes. The enemy soldiers remark that, impossibly, no one was killed in the blast. A soldier shouts defiantly that they are not used to such overwhelming power. Klaus offers them a final chance, surrender and talk, or be captured. A soldier scoffs, asking if their intention to fight isn't already obvious. Klaus accepts their choice, warning them he cannot guarantee their survival. He raises his greatsword, taking a ready stance to end the battle. Suddenly, his eyes widen as he senses something utterly unexpected. A look of pure shock spreads across his face as he cries out in disbelief. The enemy soldiers are equally horrified, screaming that this cannot be happening. A colossal, shadowy wing blots out the sun as it descends from the sky. A bead of sweat traces a path down Klaus's temple as he stares up. A monstrous black dragon, wreathed in shadow, lands with a ground-shaking thud. Klaus recognizes it as an evil dragon, wondering how its 12 seals were broken. He dismisses the idea of a simple lookalike as an impossible coincidence. Gritting his teeth, he accepts the terrifying reality and prepares to fight. With a powerful war cry, Klaus charges headlong at the immense draconic beast. The dragon swipes with a massive claw, its glowing eyes filled with malice. Klaus meets the attack head-on, his sword clashing against the dragon's claw. He grits his teeth, the sheer force of the impact straining his entire body. A list of his incredible skills flashes as he channels his full power. His eyes widen in surprise as an unexpected force repels his blade. He is sent skidding backward across the ground, struggling to stay upright. He now understands with grim certainty why his sword shattered from the impact. A close-up reveals the cracked and splintered blade of his greatsword. He realizes his own powerful attack was somehow reflected back at him. The evil dragon rears its head back, its massive, tooth-filled maw opening wide. It gathers a terrifying amount of energy, preparing its devastating breath attack. Klaus screams a warning to his troops to scatter and escape immediately. A torrent of hellfire erupts from the dragon, engulfing the entire battlefield. Klaus braces himself, caught in the devastating wave of destructive energy. His soldiers are swept away by the overwhelming force of the fiery blast. Battered and bruised, Klaus stumbles but manages to remain standing. His aide rushes to his side, overcome with relief that Klaus is safe. The aide stands before the surviving soldiers, their formation still holding. Klaus, shocked, demands to know why they disobeyed his order to retreat. The aide explains that running towards the blast seemed the safer option. He adds that with the mage's defense, their survival was partly due to luck. Klaus closes his eyes, quietly accepting their desperate but sound tactical choice. He turns to his aide and asks for a report on the extent of their losses. The aide believes that while they barely escaped, their forces are not lost. Klaus acknowledges the grim assessment, agreeing that it is likely true. He states that treating the wounded is their first priority and asks what's needed. He requests a sword, any sword, explaining he cannot fight the dragon otherwise. The aide begins to ask if they also require a skilled mage for support. A confident woman appears, stating she can handle all offense, defense, and healing. Klaus is stunned, shouting her name, Sophia, and asking why she is there. Sophia says unsettling rumors reached her, and she correctly suspected trouble. Klaus laments that even if he knew everything, there would be little he could do. He chides her for using reckless spatial transfer magic to travel so quickly. Sophia dismisses his concern, saying it was no big deal since she was in a hurry. A soldier's voice suddenly cuts through the air, shouting that he has a report. The aide scolds the soldier for interrupting, but the soldier insists it's urgent. Klaus allows it, stating they don't have time for long conversations right now. He asks Sophia for her help in the coming fight, and she readily agrees. Klaus thanks her, telling her he is counting on her considerable power. He then turns to the kneeling soldier and demands to know what has happened. The soldier reports that the enemy Veritas Kingdom army has resumed its advance. Klaus is horrified, calling their advance in the face of the dragon suicidal. A dark thought crosses his mind as he wonders if this is all connected. A colossal, shadowy dragon let out a deafening, sky-shattering roar. Klaus Zaymont gritted his teeth, frustrated by the overwhelming power. He asked his companion Sophia to come and heal his leg. With grim resolve, Klaus declared their only option was to retreat. Suddenly, a blinding flash of light signaled a chaotic teleportation. Soma, Rina, and Aina appeared, having chased the evil dragon. Soma took a moment to assess their sudden, jarring arrival. He recognized the lingering magic as the one he had just attacked. He coolly wondered if their reckless teleportation had worked as intended. Soma admitted this was his fastest and most self-aware gambit yet. Aina was shocked, saying no normal person would even think of it. He casually explained his past experience with teleportation in ancient ruins. Soma noticed his sister's dazed state and asked if she was all right. Aina held Rina, explaining she had been staring blankly, unresponsive. Rina blamed the teleportation sickness on someone's extremely reckless actions. Her eyes widened with a flicker of sudden, dawning realization. She quickly insisted that she was fine, trying to dismiss their worry. Aina pressed, saying Rina seemed strange and shouldn't hold back for them. Rina claimed she was just a little dizzy from the violent transit. When asked again if she was truly okay, Rina firmly agreed. Soma then asked his sister directly if she was really fine. He watched her with a thoughtful, slightly suspicious gaze. Soma mused that they had reached their target, but a problem remained. Aina wondered where they were, and Soma confirmed her dark suspicion. Soma decided it would be best for them to remain hidden for now. They overheard someone praying, which Soma found quite unexpected. A sudden, violent sound caught Soma's attention, his senses flaring. The massive head of a dragon roared, shaking the very foundations. A torrent of pure, destructive energy erupted from the monstrous beast. The blast sent Klaus and Sophia hurtling backward through the air. Klaus admitted this utter defeat was far beyond his imagination. Sophia agreed, realizing she had dangerously underestimated their foe's power. Klaus ordered Sophia to report to the capital, leaving him behind. He apologized for the cruel task, wishing his son Soma were there. Sophia gently told him that even so, nothing would have changed. She said it was fine, as she had always known his awkward nature. With a sad smile, she announced it was time for her to go. Klaus acknowledged her decision with a grim, weary expression. Sophia produced a magical orb, preparing to teleport to safety. Klaus noted the great expense of using 2 teleportation tools at once. She smiled, saying the cost was cheap for everything she had gained. Klaus seemed surprised, admitting he hadn't known the depths of her feelings. The magical energy between them crackled before suddenly fizzling out. Sophia looked up in complete shock, her only escape plan foiled. Klaus stared in wide-eyed disbelief at the impossible magical interference. He exclaimed that interfering with a teleportation should be impossible. The dragon mocked their foolish, desperate attempt to escape its grasp. Klaus and Sophia were stunned into silence by the talking beast. Klaus couldn't believe his ears. The dragon was actually speaking. Sophia asked in horror if his plan was to die here. Klaus resolved that this phantasmal dragon was a dangerously unstable being. If its precarious balance collapsed, it could destroy the entire world. The dragon found it amusing that they were worried about it being killed. It mused that they had done nothing amusing to entertain it. A cultist appeared, ordering the dragon not to kill the 2 captives. The fanatical man demanded they be kept alive for him to kill personally. The dragon sneered, questioning if a mere mortal dared to command it. It roared at the cultist, telling the insolent human not to get carried away. The dragon unleashed a swarm of shadowy tendrils at the arrogant man. The cultist screamed in absolute terror and agony from the swift punishment. The dragon's eye narrowed, telling the man to remember his place. It bellowed its name, Fafnir, the ancient dragon of terror and despair. Klaus smirked, noting the dragon was even announcing itself before the end. Fafnir explained it would not harm those who refrained from attacking it. Klaus questioned if the great dragon truly intended to die here today. The cultist writhed in pain, screaming that he did not want to die. Klaus realized the man was being overwhelmed by some greater, unseen will. He asked Fafnir why it would go to such destructive lengths. Fafnir revealed that it was all for the sake of its master's wish. Sophia questioned its master's identity, suspecting a long-dead evil god. The dragon confirmed her suspicion with a simple, chilling affirmation. It clarified that evil god was merely the name given by mortals. Klaus and Sophia braced themselves for the dragon's final, devastating attack. Klaus apologized for his extra words, knowing the outcome was the same. Fafnir's master was the divine ruler of death and destruction. To perish and bring that destruction was the dragon's ultimate desire. Klaus muttered that he, too, might be an unqualified, failed parent. Sophia squeezed his hand, promising there was more to say later. The dragon roared for all to perish, fulfilling its master's wish. A calm voice interrupted, suggesting the dragon should perish first instead. A flash of white streaked across the chaotic battlefield. The hooded figure struck the beast, which roared at the damn insect. The force of the blow sent visible shockwaves across the dragon's form. Soma, the attacker, noted that he thought he had caught it. Sophia stared at the mysterious hooded figure, asking who he was. Soma replied that he was merely a passing swordsman, nothing more. Klaus scoffed, finding such a mysterious passerby highly suspicious. Soma conceded that Klaus's point was certainly a logical one. He decided to trust them, even if they wouldn't trust him back. Soma asked if this arrangement was acceptable to the weary pair. Klaus agreed, saying it would be shameful not to trust his savior. Sophia found it strange to deny help when it was offered. Soma turned to the dragon, declaring it was time to end this fight. He stated they would resume their own journey after this was over. He unleashed his true power, a flurry of divine sword principles. He landed gracefully, a new, proper sword now held in his hand. He observed the dragon, noting that it seemed a bit impatient now. He thought that this beast was disappointing compared to the one he knew. He pondered if he should quickly return to his own true journey. The dragon roared, wondering who this being was that so easily repelled it. With a weary sigh, Soma insists he is merely a passing swordsman. He turns to face a greater threat, leaving the rear guard to others. He notes the invading army is a force they cannot hope to stop. Camilla looks on with concern, acknowledging the grim reality of their situation. Klaus states that against the true enemy, they would be a mere warm-up. Camilla understands the gravity of his words and accepts the assessment. With a confident smile, Klaus tells Soma to entrust the rear to him. Soma asks if he can truly be trusted, and Klaus confirms without hesitation. Klaus and Camilla watch as Soma turns to face his own battle. Crouching low, Soma decides to end this troublesome affair quickly. A monstrous shadow WYRM erupts, roaring that the human should not get carried away. The beast looms over him, sneering that he is just a winged reptile. Its glowing eye glares with malice as it growls at the swordsman. Soma rests his blade on his shoulder, unimpressed by the creature's empty threats. His eyes narrow with chilling intent as he simply orders it to die. His sword flashes in a clean white arc against the dragon's shadowy form. The attack is a blur of motion, impossibly swift and perfectly precise. The dragon's dark essence is sliced cleanly, dissipating where the blade passed. Watching the display, Aina can only whisper how incredible his power is. She admits she never imagined he could face such a monster all alone. Klaus turns to her, surprised she was unaware of Soma's true capabilities. Aina clarifies she knew he beat a demon general, but not like this. Klaus is shocked, as this is the first he's heard of it. Aina sheepishly admits that this was information she was meant to deliver today. Klaus listens intently, processing this startling new piece of information. He reflects that this sight makes any doubt about Soma's talent unnecessary. Aina smiles gently, saying she never needed proof to believe in him. Klaus admits that even so, he honestly thought he would lose to Soma. Soma asks Aina if she recognized the creature the moment she saw it. Aina's expression is pained, she knew only after seeing his own reaction. Klaus wonders if it was because she had spent more time with him. Aina points out Klaus barely spent 3 years with Soma himself. Klaus starts to reply, but trails off, asking what she is getting at. He looks back at the battle, dismissing his own thought as nothing. Aina worries the dragon will be defeated, and Klaus grimly agrees with her. He explains that humans cannot kill dragons, only the illusion of their parts. The dragon roars in fury, unable to believe its attacks cannot reach him. Soma calmly states there is no use complaining about an impossible reality. The beast refuses to accept defeat, sensing Soma's overwhelmingly powerful aura. It thrashes about in a desperate rage, its movements becoming wild. Aina observes that this outcome seems inevitable, and Klaus quietly agrees. She wonders if this is all a dream, as everything feels too convenient. Klaus, his face grim, confirms that her assessment is indeed correct. Aina recalls a similar feeling from when Soma's brother had rescued her. A group of girls rushes up, one asking Aina how she can be so calm. Aina is completely shocked to see her sister, Rina, has arrived on the battlefield. Rina greets her parents, and Klaus immediately asks why she is here. She claims with a nervous smile that she was just passing by. Aina reminds her that she is supposed to be recovering from an illness. The girls bicker, Rina claiming her dormant powers awaken to help. Aina concedes that, in a certain sense, Rina is not entirely wrong. Klaus sighs, realizing Rina followed Soma, making his own presence unnecessary. Rina stammers that her brother did indeed tell her to wait for him. Sheila admits she came despite knowing she would be of little help. Klaus resigns himself to the situation, saying it cannot be helped now. He orders the 3 girls to stay close to him for their own protection. Aina says she can't say more, and Klaus agrees that is quite enough. Sheila asks him not to say things that make them look so bad. Aina smirks, noting that being attacked by that dragon is an impossible feat. Klaus looks at her, surprised, and asks why she has no worries. Aina and Sheila confidently state that there is no way Soma can lose. Klaus looks on, finally understanding their unshakable faith in his son. The dragon senses that the trust its opponent inspires is different from its own. Klaus asks Aina if she said something, but she quietly denies it. He muses that they really have no right to speak of Soma's affairs. The girls agree with bright smiles, their belief in Soma absolute. Soma leaps high into the air, his blade poised for a finishing blow. He brings his sword down hard upon the dragon's massive, armored head. The dragon cries out in anguish, lamenting its pathetic and regretful end. Soma acknowledges the beast's circumstances but remains focused on the task at hand. His eye glows with power, the only thing that matters is its unforgivable sin. The dragon insists its body is not yet finished, that it can still fight. Soma dives down, his blade a streak of pure light against the darkness. He lands directly on the dragon's face, sword held high for a final strike. With immense force, he plunges the blade deep into the monster's eye. The sword sinks into the dragon's skull with a sickening, final crunch. Looking up from his strike, he coldly commands it to be destroyed. A powerful, decisive slash cuts through the air, sealing the beast's fate. The dragon's massive head is cleanly severed from its crumbling body. The decapitated head is sent flying, its shadowy form already dissipating into nothing. Soma lands gracefully as the last remnants of the dragon vanish completely. The group of onlookers watches in silence, their expressions a mix of awe and relief. Soma stands victorious, having achieved an overwhelming victory against the evil dragon. A year after the crisis, the ruins are a silent monument to the battle. Camilla enters Klaus's office, asking if he has a moment to talk. Klaus agrees, explaining he was just finishing up reading some reports. He tells her there is only one thing he needs her to confirm. Camilla holds out a document, stating that her query is about Soma. Klaus looks down at the report, his expression grim as he anticipates its contents. In the streets, people gossip about a new dragon slayer among them. The news has spread to a rival kingdom, making it impossible to hide. Klaus and Camilla discuss the need to establish Soma's future public standing. He laments that his own past mistake has created this difficult situation. He decides Rina must remain the heir, as it is the only viable option. A family Soma once saved is brought in to create a cover story. Camilla warns Klaus that this convoluted plan will tarnish his own name. Klaus scoffs at the notion, saying such a small stain is nothing. He dismisses it as a simple farce for those who already know the truth. Klaus asks if Soma has been told, and Camilla confirms she informed him. Klaus sighs deeply, admitting he can never truly hold his head high around his son. Soma calmly decides that no matter what, their objective remains unchanged. Camilla agrees, whatever others may think, they can no longer be stopped. She gazes out the window, wondering if things would be different now. Camilla thinks of the 2 legendary figures who should have been there. She believes the country would never have allowed this situation to happen. Soma dismisses this, calling it a future that was never meant to be. A memory shows 2 heroes, one of light and one of shadow. These central figures of a past war vanished before their nation's founding. Soma accepts their new role as supporting actors who must see it through. Camilla laments that her hands are too small to save everyone they leave behind. Soma thoughtfully considers her words, then offers a different possibility. Perhaps, he suggests, his own hands might be large enough for the task. Their quiet moment ends as Camilla asks if he is done with his report. He confirms he has seen all he needs to and must prepare to leave. Camilla sighs, realizing at this rate, their work will take another month or 2. The scene shifts to the imposing stone walls of the Zaymont ducal estate. Soma, now in travel gear, reflects on having stayed here for a year. He admits that this lengthy stay was not part of his original plan. Sitting with his friends, he decides the detour was not a bad one. Now outside, Soma asks aloud if only one person came to see him off. A towering figure in armor appears. Soma recognizes his father, Klaus. Soma admits he thought his mother might have been the one to come. Klaus explains there are things she cannot say, so Soma should not worry. He smiles slightly, admitting that in this way, he was more brazen. Having a moment to spare, he came. Soma quietly understands his reasoning. Klaus looks around, surprised the girls are not there to see him off. Soma explains they are busy, unaware of his father's sudden arrival. Klaus remarks that was a close call, as their paths could have crossed. On the barren training grounds, father and son stand opposite each other. Soma looks at the armored warrior, again confirming it is his father. Klaus sighs, looking weary and apologizing for his own awkwardness. Gripping his sword, he admits he only knows how to communicate this way. He challenges Soma to draw his sword for a single, all-out strike. Soma understands the request and draws his blade, his expression resolute. The two swordsmen face one another across the windswept field. With a mighty roar, Klaus brings his massive sword down upon his son. Their blades clash in a silent, explosive impact that sends steel flying. Soma holds his ground, unleashing his ultimate technique, a divine flash. Klaus smiles, confessing he knew Soma's talent surpassed his from the start. He turns away, noting that others had called him a doting parent. Soma agrees that from the outside, it would seem like foolishness. Klaus states that today, his belief has been proven true beyond all doubt. He officially names Soma the next Sword King, the world's strongest swordsman. Soma muses that this is not a title one can refuse so easily. Klaus dismisses his concern, saying a title is merely a name. He mentions a tedious ceremony Soma must attend upon coming of age. Soma questions this, stating he has his own plans for his future. Klaus understands it's for political convenience, then trails off into silence. Soma asks if his father has any other business with him before he departs. Klaus tells him not to worry and asks if he's forgotten anything. Soma pauses, thoughtfully touching his chin as he considers the question. Klaus decides he will be fine and simply tells him to be careful. With a confident smile, Soma says he is off and begins his journey. From a distant window, a hand waves as the two figures part ways. Rina watches them, her expression a mask of frustration and regret. She turns away, angry that she failed to speak with her brother again. She berates herself, admitting it's her fault for not knowing what to say. She wonders what this new feeling of purpose truly means for her. She knows she can't just leave him alone, that would be a terrible mistake. Blinking away her indecision, she tries to focus on the present moment. She realizes that with him gone, she cannot possibly handle both crises alone. With a sudden, cheerful resignation, she decides that it can't be helped. Aina appears in the doorway, asking Rina what she is doing there. Startled, Rina turns and asks Aina the very same question. Aina says she is searching for something she feels is missing. Rina asks if it is alright, concerned that her brother has already left. Aina understands Rina was watching because she knew he was departing. Rina explains she was on her way to retrieve the missing item herself. Aina urges her to hurry, as they cannot afford to dally now. Rina's expression hardens with a new, unshakable resolve. A title card appears, the girl does not die. Another card follows, this country will not be trampled. The world has already diverged from the path of its proper history. Rina wonders to herself if this outcome was for the best. With renewed determination, she vows to fulfill her role in this new world. Rina and Aina stand together, ready to begin their own journey. In a dark throne room, a fist slams down in fury. An aged king bellows at his subordinate to repeat what he just said. The man stammers that their army's morale is shattered, suggesting a truce. The king roars, questioning if he would bow to such traitors. The subordinate agrees it is a disgrace, but insists it is their only option. Defeated, the king relents, ordering him to proceed with the plan. He curses his useless pawns, especially the demons who failed to help. A disembodied voice mockingly asks if they truly did not do their part. The startled king demands to know who is there, looking around the empty room. He wonders if it is the demons, shocked they would appear now. The voice says this is their first meeting, but it knows him well. The king frantically searches, demanding the speaker reveal their location. The voice replies that it did not come all this way just to talk. The king sneers, impressed by the guts of this mysterious demon. The voice blames the king for the current state of the fool. Confused, the king wonders what the fool's purpose was, or what he did wrong. A shadowy face with a wide grin says its purpose is to kill him. A dark tendril erupts from the king's chest as he gasps in shock. The voice explains that all evidence must be erased from the root. The king chokes on blood, unable to comprehend what is happening. He gurgles, his life fading as the voice says there is no more to say. A hooded figure stands over the corpse, musing about destroying the country. The figure snaps its fingers with an air of finality, declaring it over. It now wonders what to do about the one who killed the evil dragon. In a dark chamber, a hooded figure considers the former hero and demon lord becoming unexpected obstacles. He decides to leave them for now, lamenting that he must now go to the academy. With his decision made, he resolves to return and his shadowy form vanishes. The sprawling capital of the Radius Kingdom, Lawton, is shown, home to Soma's next destination. A grand structure is identified as the Royal Academy, as a woman peeks from a doorway. The woman, clad in formal attire, walks purposefully down a long, sunlit hallway. She forcefully throws open a set of large double doors, making a grand entrance. Headmistress Hildegard Lindworm smiles, announcing that the busy season has arrived once more. 2 of her faculty members sit at a meeting table, ready to begin their work. A stack of resumes for the instructor employment exam sits before them. Hildegard notes that the number of applicants this year is particularly high. An instructor suggests this is due to the political turmoil in the neighboring Veritas Kingdom. Hildegard considers the news of the neighboring king's death and the ensuing succession crisis. She sighs, frustrated that many applicants seem to treat the serious exam like a casual event. One instructor reasons it's a way to appeal for other jobs, but Hildegard disapproves of the motive. Suddenly, Hildegard's eyes widen as she notices a particularly unusual application. She looks up from the document, murmuring that this is certainly unexpected. An instructor asks what's wrong, so Hildegard slides the application toward her. The instructor picks up the file, her curiosity piqued by the headmistress's strange reaction. As she reads the document, her hand begins to tremble with shock. The application reveals the applicant possesses a special grade swordsmanship skill. The instructor admits this will be difficult to handle, and Hildegard agrees thoughtfully. Another instructor dismisses their concern, saying the skill is amazing, but the issue is how to proceed. Hildegard instructs him to look more closely at the applicant's age. He reads it, stammering in disbelief that the applicant is too young even for elementary school. The faculty agrees it would be a great waste to simply fail such a prodigy. Hildegard decides to summon the applicant for an interview before making a final judgment. Having made a decision, she stretches with a satisfied smile, one problem temporarily solved. An instructor hands her more files, noting the exceptionally high caliber of talent this year. The instructor mentions that even 2 famous adventurers are among the surprising applicants. Hildegard smiles knowingly, guessing they might have an inkling of what's coming. She muses to herself that it seems he has arrived at the academy safely. Her calm is shattered again as she reads the next application, declaring it impossible. Soma stands before the magic instructor, Corinne Schmidt, asking if there's a problem. The application lists his recommenders, Klaus, Sophia, King Alexis Radius, and Camilla. Corinne, flustered, quickly stammers that there is absolutely no issue at all. Her mind reels, trying to process endorsements from 2 kings, a duchess, and a top adventurer. She collects herself, deciding it's nothing she needs to be concerned about. Soma apologizes for the time taken and asks where he should proceed for the exam. Corinne directs him down the hall to the examination area for his chosen subject. He turns to leave as she nervously wishes him the best of luck. Soma pauses for a moment, glancing back as if he heard something else. Corinne adds that while she doesn't know if he'll pass, she wants to say one thing. With a bright, genuine smile, she formally welcomes him to the Royal Academy. A voice calls out for the next applicant in the practical exam, number 153. A nervous young woman with short dark hair steps forward in the examination hall. The target dummy for the exam is shown already engulfed in roaring flames. The applicant points out the burning target to the proctor, who calmly acknowledges it. She asks what happened, and he explains it was set ablaze by the previous applicant. The proctor tells her the exam has begun and she may start whenever she is ready. She recalls the instructions, to attack the target with her best and strongest ability. Realizing there's a loophole, she steels her resolve, believing she can pass the test. Clasping her hands, she chants the incantation for her spell, Freeze. She unleashes a mid-tier magic spell, Ice Barrier, sending a wave of frost forward. The flaming dummy is instantly encased in a massive, jagged tomb of solid ice. The proctor smiles with his eyes closed, complimenting her on the fine magic she displayed. He informs her she has passed, though she could have just waited for the fire to burn out. She is shocked, realizing a new target won't be prepared since she was the last one. The proctor says her quick thinking was an added bonus to the test. He directs her to the next area, where another instructor will guide her. Overjoyed, the young woman clenches her fists, whispering, "I did it." The proctor turns to Soma, noting the timing is perfect now that they are alone. He announces that Soma's exam will begin now, surprising the other applicant. The girl's eyes widen in shock as she looks over at the new examinee. The proctor explains that Soma's black hair signifies a potential for all talents. Soma accepts this, asking what the content of his test will be. The The proctor points to the frozen dummy, telling him to hit it with his best shot. Agreeing to use his best skill, Soma calmly draws a simple short sword. Karine, watching from a distance, wonders what magic he'll use with such an odd weapon. Soma smirks, unleashing his technique with a single word, Majinkan. A powerful slash of dark energy cuts cleanly through the air. A flurry of invisible slashes rushes past the other applicant. She instinctively ducks and covers her face as the immense pressure wave passes. The barrage of dark energy flies toward the proctor and the target. The destructive energy continues its path, carving through the air. The girl looks up, stunned into silence, barely able to ask what just happened. A massive trench has been carved through the hall, the wall, and the forest beyond. The proctor is aghast, exclaiming that the walls should withstand an instructor's full power. Soma nonchalantly rests his sword on his shoulder, wondering if he overdid it. Elsewhere in the academy, a window pane rattles from the distant shockwave. Soma, now in uniform, muses that he was accepted despite thinking he had failed. He looks out the window, noting the awkward timing of the entrance ceremony. Deciding it's better than being late, he opts to wander the town instead. He slides open the door to his room and quietly steps out. With a small backpack, Soma walks alone down an empty market street. He thinks to himself that this is better than getting entangled in some trouble. He lets out a small, almost imperceptible sigh. He remarks quietly that he had been hoping for something a little more interesting. Suddenly, a shadowy figure drops from above, startling a woman below. The woman reacts instantly, parrying the attack with her sword, her skills activating. Her eyes are sharp with focus as she prepares an immediate counter. She unleashes a powerful palm strike, only to hit an empty cloak. Karine, observing, notes that the woman was a bit too hasty in her attack. The woman looks down at the discarded cloak, realizing she was deceived. She turns to face three more hooded figures, asking why they attacked her. With a wry smile, she decides that asking for a reason is probably pointless. She leaps into action, a blur of motion against her robed assailants. Using the walls, she performs a triangle jump, flipping over one of the figures. She lands and executes a devastating twin-bladed strike, felling her opponent. The final hooded figure raises a shadowy hand, commanding it to strike the enemy. A young student cries out in alarm, recognizing the start of a magical chant. She steels herself, knowing she must intervene before the spell is complete. A hooded cultist with a monstrous grin prepares to strike a terrified student. With a skillful parry, she deflects the shadowy attack at the last second. Undeterred, the assailant gathers dark energy for an even greater magical assault. She realizes with horror that the attack will hit everyone, including his allies. The cultist screams his incantation, commanding a devastating flame to incinerate them all. Soma calmly appears, remarking that such a powerful attack is a bit excessive. In a flash, the alley is littered with the defeated forms of the cultists. The girl can only stare up at her rescuer, utterly baffled by the sudden turn. Soma sheaths his sword, explaining he intervened to prevent collateral damage. She looks up at the boy who saved them, asking who he is. Their unexpected adventure leads them to the Royal Capital Guard post for questioning. Soma sips his tea, musing on the surprisingly polite reception they have received. He had expected to be treated as a perpetrator, not an honored guest. He knows his family name would explain the treatment, but he remains anonymous. Another student notes the guard's extreme deference as they were escorted in. Soma quietly asks a guard if their special treatment is because of the girl. His expression remains sharp and analytical as he pieces together the situation. A new figure enters the room, and Soma looks up from his teacup. A regal man with a warm smile thanks them for their efforts. Soma calmly states that he has many things he would like to discuss. He cuts to the chase, asking why the King of Radius is here. King Alexis explains it's natural for a father to retrieve his daughter. Soma sighs, admitting he had already guessed the girl's identity. The king notes with amusement that the revelation does not surprise Soma at all. In the throne room, the king muses that Soma is just as expected. Soma dismisses small talk, asking if the king learned anything from his investigation. The king admits with frustration that the culprits left no evidence or leads. He then asks a favor, for Soma to watch over his daughter at the academy. Soma agrees to do what he can, seeing it as a matter of fate. Satisfied with the answer, the king departs, leaving the matter in Soma's hands. As he leaves, he pointedly refers to Soma as the next Sword King. Soma's expression remains stoic, taking in the king's weighty title for him. He reflects that this title wasn't decided before, noting the king's closeness to his father. Alone again, he considers the implications of his new acquaintance being a princess. Their footsteps echo as they walk through the now quiet streets of the capital. The princess, whom we now know is named Sylvia, apologizes for the delay. Soma reassures her that she was a victim, not the cause of their delay. He explains he was simply too excited about the academy starting to sleep in. Sylvia is surprised and delighted to learn he feels the same excitement she does. He thoughtfully considers her shared enthusiasm for their new academic life. He tells her not to worry, as their detour was a welcome distraction. He clarifies that his excitement is for the classes, not the opening ceremony. She is taken aback by how genuinely eager he is to begin his studies. He notes her surprise, wondering how she could doubt him after the exam. A companion chides him, saying the problem was that he overdid things spectacularly. Sylvia is deeply impressed, hoping to one day possess such wisdom and confidence. Soma tells her that she is already putting that very principle into practice. She shyly brings up the fact that Soma has now met her father. He asks bluntly if she is the princess, wondering if she intended to hide it. She explains she dislikes being judged as incapable simply because she is royalty. Soma nods, understanding her desire to be seen for her own merits. He assures her that he will not treat her any differently because of her status. She realizes that, true to his word, his casual attitude hasn't changed one bit. He smiles, suggesting it would be better if she dropped the overly polite speech. Flustered, she waves her hands and insists she prefers him treating her informally. He tilts his head, genuinely confused by her suddenly flustered reaction. She changes the subject, asking if he is also enrolling in the magic department. She begins to say something else, but trails off, still feeling a bit shy. Composing herself, she properly introduces herself as Sylvia, asking for his friendship. They finally stand before the magnificent and imposing gates of the Royal Academy. They walk down the grand path, two small figures dwarfed by the Academy's scale. Soma recalls that the entrance ceremony was meant to be in a lecture hall. Sylvia agrees, wondering aloud if there has been a change of plans. He confirms they were directed to the training grounds instead. Arriving at the grounds, Sylvia is awestruck by its sheer, fortress-like scale. Soma confirms that despite the unusual location, they have arrived at the right place. She points out the other new students already gathered inside the vast arena. He suggests they wait patiently, as the other students seem equally clueless. Sylvia speculates the venue changed because there were too many new students this year. Soma listens to her theory, his gaze fixed on the unfolding situation. He then notices something odd, pointing out a suspicious-looking group. The view focuses on the three hooded figures blending into the student crowd. He dismisses the concern, saying it's fine as long as they aren't suspicious. Suddenly, the massive arena doors are thrown open with a thunderous crash. A pair of long, stocking-clad legs confidently steps into the arena. Soma watches the newcomer's dramatic entrance with his arms crossed, looking mildly annoyed. A nearby student's eye widens in absolute shock and disbelief. Camilla Hennifer makes her grand entrance, a colossal battle axe resting on her shoulder. She welcomes the new students, acknowledging their likely confusion at this strange turn. She dismisses the traditional ceremony as boring, stating the academy is for action. She declares that she will personally demonstrate if this academy is worthy of them. Then, she challenges every student present to prove their own worth in return. A student in the crowd gasps, beginning to recognize the legendary figure. He recognizes her by her height and, most of all, her iconic weapon. Her distinctive reddish-brown hair confirms her identity beyond any doubt. Her legendary titles echo, the strongest adventurer, hero of national salvation, and war princess. Camilla playfully scolds them for using such embarrassing and grandiose titles. She warns them that a mental attack like flattery is utterly useless against her. The students are stunned, whispering her full name in a wave of awe. The title, Hero of National Salvation, flashes, emphasizing her legendary status. A flashback depicts her as a founder of the kingdom alongside other heroes. She is famed for saving countless lives and defeating special-grade skill users. To the students, she is a living legend they have admired since childhood. The students are absolutely thrilled at the prospect of fighting their childhood hero. Camilla smiles wryly, amused by their eagerness to be trained by her. She addresses the eager crowd, announcing she has two important points to make. First, she clarifies this is not a simple battle of her against them. It is a trial for all to prove they are worthy of the academy. The arena is a field of defeat, with Camilla facing the last challengers. With a confident smile, Camilla reveals she has one more trick up her sleeve. She presents a vicious-looking collar, a ring of jagged, bone-white material. The remaining students can only stare, shocked and confused by the strange device. She explains that most of them know this collar seals the wearer's skills. Her own skills, she smirks, will be weakened to mere low-class equivalents. With a sharp click, she fastens the power-sealing device around her neck. Now, she declares, she can finally give them a proper, measured thrashing. She couldn't possibly break their spirits and make them quit on day one. The student seethed, utterly enraged by her condescending words and blatant mockery. A quiet determination fills her eyes as she prepares to reclaim something lost. A memory surfaces, a painful but fun past, always striving to improve. She offers to teach them that same lesson. It's not a bad deal. She leaps high into the air, a whirlwind of motion descending upon them. The students boast of their superior numbers and skills against her weakened state. A massive, fierce tiger blast erupts, showcasing her immense, restricted power. Bodies are sent flying through the air, completely overwhelmed by the shockwave. A survivor emerges, questioning how this is possible with low-class skills. She anticipates their thoughts, guessing they believe the caller is a bluff. But she confirms it is no trick, her power is truly limited now. Skill rank isn't everything, equal power doesn't mean equal outcomes. She effortlessly parries two students, proving a skill is just raw power. How one uses that power is the lesson she intends to teach them. She unleashes another powerful swing, driven by her incredible battle focus. A student can only utter a confused sound, unable to comprehend her might. A determined, red-haired student steps forward, ready to challenge her directly. She acknowledges his skill, impressed he could block her attack at all. He boasts that his intermediate skill can easily stop her now weakened power. In a flash of movement, she leaps over him, disarming him completely. She tells them all to use their full power and strategy to reach her. But she adds with a wicked grin that even that might not be enough. She unleashes her war cry, wild dance, a whirlwind of destructive energy. The arrogant student is caught in the maelstrom, his body buffeted by force. He believes her weakened state gives him the advantage in a direct clash. He gathers his power, preparing to unleash his own ultimate technique against her. He screams that his intermediate class attack is absolutely impossible for her to block. He unleashes his jeweled swing sweep, a wide, powerful arc of his blade. His attack misses completely, leaving him utterly baffled and wide-eyed in disbelief. His sword is gone, stuck in the ground, a polearm now at his throat. She admits she couldn't have blocked his attack, but that wasn't her plan. The student looks back, his mind struggling to process what just happened. He stammers in disbelief, unable to believe such a feat was even possible. She simply explains that all she did was dodge out of his attack's range. With his back turned and his guard down, she strikes him down easily. The student collapses to the ground, utterly defeated in body and spirit. She decides to get a little more serious to finish the lesson on time. After all, she muses with a glance, the main event is still waiting. Soma stands watching, his expression calm and unreadable, awaiting his turn. She gives him a final taunt, telling him not to be defeated so easily. The brutal lesson concludes, with more students defeated before the main event. A student barely manages to block an attack, his form strained and desperate. Several students try to overwhelm her with sheer numbers, piling on top of her. From the sidelines, Soma notes how spectacularly the students are being sent flying. Rina Riley observes the defeated students, noting how they're lining up nicely. Soma deduces that all the students are aiming for a single, specific goal. Aina wonders if their plan is simply to wear Camilla down one by one. Soma tells her to just keep watching, as their true plan will soon be revealed. A student's sword clashes against the hardened shaft of Camilla's polearm. The impact is immense, and a visible crack appears on her weapon's shaft. Her polearm shatters into pieces, leaving her momentarily surprised by their success. Aina is shocked they destroyed her weapon, but Soma simply acknowledges it. Seeing his chance, another student charges forward with a war hammer, yelling, "I got it." Camilla calmly lets the broken remnants of her polearm fall from her grasp. She stoops and picks up a sword dropped by one of the fallen students. With a confident smile, she effortlessly blocks the hammer with her new blade. This is why Camilla, with only advanced skills, is considered a true hero. Her martial arts medley skill is the source of her incredible versatility. She can wield any and all weapons with an advanced class level of skill. A battlefield littered with enemy weapons is where she shines the brightest. Soma remarks that it's a famous story, how she was hunted by assassins. She admits she hadn't expected them to actually break her weapon, not bad. With a serious smile, she announces it is time to get even more serious. She unleashes another devastating attack, sending more students flying through the air. She moves like a whirlwind, effortlessly dispatching the remaining challengers around her. Another student is thrown back, defeated by the overwhelming display of her power. With the lesser students defeated, Soma finally steps forward and asks to be next. He smiles, saying of course, but wonders if he wasn't a little late. She reminds him he's the one who never accepted a rematch since then. She states that things are different now, she is the instructor, he the student. As such, she has a duty to accept a challenge from her student. He accepts this logic, as long as he gets his revenge on his teacher. She promises to defeat him again, but first, she must remove the collar. With a surge of power, she shatters the skill ceiling collar with her hand. She asks him if he has any complaints about her removing her handicap. He replies that he would have complained if she had kept it on. She agrees with a knowing smile, preparing herself for the real fight. A fierce grin crosses her face as she asks if they should begin. A sharp spearhead slices through the air, signaling the start of their duel. She lunges with her advanced class spearmanship, her true power now unleashed. She unleashes her technique, War Cry, First Flash, a thrust of blinding speed. The lightning-fast attack is stopped dead just inches from Soma's unmoving form. He has impossibly caught both her spear and axe with his bare hands. Her spearhead is held fast between his thumb and forefinger, completely neutralized. She explodes into a multi-weapon combo, a fierce dream blast of steel. Soma stomps his foot, cracking the arena floor to brace for the impact. He stands his ground, parrying the furious storm of attacks coming at him. The stone floor around them is completely pulverized by the force of their clash. Amidst the destruction, Soma stands ready, his simple sword held before him. Camilla lands, annoyed that despite the destruction, he remains completely unfazed. Soma questions her surprise, asking if he isn't simply parrying the impacts. Camilla sighs, chiding him for speaking so recklessly and obviously. Soma retorts that her mid-fight weapon switch was a cheap stunt. He states that time is short and he'd rather not break her weapon. Camilla and Soma face off across the cracked stone of the arena. With a sharp, predatory grin, she declares she is coming for him. In a flash, her formidable polearm shatters into a dozen pieces. Soma effortlessly catches the broken spear tip as it flies past. Camilla snatches the remaining shaft, preparing a new close-quarters attack. Soma holds the broken piece of her weapon, poised and ready. She unleashes a flurry of skills, a master of many weapon arts. She attacks with a continuous barrage, a great severing technique. Camilla clicks her tongue, frustrated that her attack was not enough. Soma is surprised she would use a broken haft for melee combat. She stands defiantly, asking what he will do next. With a wild grin, she declares that the answer is obvious. She channels new skills, preparing for a devastating unarmed assault. Her explosive punch sends a shockwave tearing across the ground. Gritting her teeth, she vows that she will not lose next time. But her strength gives out, and she collapses to the floor. Soma stands alone amidst the rubble, the undisputed victor. A student named Iris is left stunned by Soma's overwhelming power. She thinks about the legendary power of special-grade skill holders. She wonders if Soma could possibly be even stronger than them. With a nervous smile, she dismisses the impossible thought. She wonders what happens now, if an instructor will appear. Soma suddenly senses a presence approaching him from behind. A mysterious hooded figure attacks him with a large, silent blade. Their weapons clash in a brilliant and violent burst of energy. The attacker is shocked, whispering a confused and quiet, "Why?" Soma calmly asks what the meaning of this sudden attack is. The hood falls back, revealing the panicked face of the elf, Sheila. He easily pushes her back, disarming the tense situation. Sheila defiantly removes her robe, having more questions for him. The other defeated students watch the new confrontation in disbelief. Soma asks if it was truly a good idea to reveal herself. He notes she would have to remove it for the academy anyway. She says she got permission, demanding to know how he knew her. He explains it's the same robe she wore on their journey. Sheila is left speechless, embarrassed by her own carelessness. He adds that her presence was obvious from the very start. He muses that it would be difficult to successfully hide from him. Another hooded figure gasps, wondering how Soma knew she was there. Soma explains that Rina's presence had suddenly and completely vanished. Rina pulls off her hood, frustrated that her surprise was ruined. Camilla asks if Rina planned this whole thing just to defeat her. Soma sighs, not recalling doing anything to earn such resentment. The three girls unite, determined to surpass him at least once. Soma watches their determined stand with a small, knowing smile. Aina begins to chant, gathering dark, fiery magic in her hands. Soma notes that Aina seems serious about trying to defeat him. Floating in a vortex of power, Aina asks if she'll kill him. Soma recognizes the spell as her mother's devastating specialty magic. Rina and Sheila confidently state that Soma will not be killed. Soma wonders if he has somehow earned their genuine hatred. Aina unleashes her ultimate spell, Infinite Gehenna. A massive wall of black fire erupts across the entire arena. The cataclysmic explosion engulfs the whole battlefield in an instant. Rina admits she was a little worried, despite her confidence. Aina tells them to have more faith in her magic's control. Rina notes the flames persist, meaning Soma is unharmed as expected. Aina grabs her hair in frustration, yelling at her allies. She sighs, completely exasperated by the entire situation. Inside the inferno, the black flames rage on violently. Soma stands completely unharmed, his expression merely surprised. Aina complains that his survival is, in itself, truly reckless. Soma thinks to himself that Aina's current power is impressive. Rina curiously asks her brother how he defended against the magic. Soma explains he simply cut every flame that came at him. Sheila can only conclude that he is, as always, reckless. He calmly asks the determined trio if they wish to continue. Rina, Sheila, and Aina declare that the fight is not over. A small, confident smile plays on Soma's lips as he listens. His demeanor changes instantly, his eyes shadowed with deadly intent. He unleashes his true power, an extreme secret art. In a single, imperceptible flash, all three girls are struck down. He stands over them, asking if anyone else wants to fight. In the stands, Iris watches, trembling with utter awe. She wonders if she could ever become that powerful. Soma, sword on his shoulder, declares that this is the end. The grand arena doors suddenly swing open with a loud bang. Headmistress Hildegard cheerfully congratulates the new students on their enrollment. She notes that they should be heading to their orientation now. Looking at the wreckage, she decides that's not possible today. She dismisses the battered students, telling them to rest until tomorrow. Soma lets out a quiet sigh of relief as the chaos ends. He turns to leave, his part in the ceremony seemingly over. He is met by the headmistress's knowing and gentle smile. Soma looks back at her, his expression unreadable and calm. A few days pass after the tumultuous entrance ceremony. Academy life begins in earnest, with classes now in session. Hildegard teaches a broad range of general studies with a smile. Rina leads an elective combat class, sword in hand. Aina lectures on the main course of magic theory. Soma sits in class, looking completely and utterly bored. He reflects on his first few days at the new academy. He concludes that there is nothing new for him to learn here. With a new resolve, he decides on his next course of action. He finds his true education in an ancient, runed book. The Royal Academy Library is a vast, awe-inspiring place. He smiles, knowing that one's grade level is irrelevant here. Soma reads with a knowing smile, oblivious to the dark aura brewing beside him. Princess Sylvia seethes with frustration, her annoyance a palpable, simmering energy. In a memory, young Sylvia recalls her very low rank in the royal succession. She vows to serve her country and not bring disgrace to her family name. She chose this academy to advance her nation's lagging magic research with her talent. Upon entering the academy, she quickly learned it was filled with incredible people. Among them all, she found Soma to be especially amazing, worthy of admiration. He effortlessly answered the most difficult questions in their general studies class. In swordsmanship, he even overwhelmed an instructor who held a special grade skill. She had thought he was perfect, never once showing any signs of arrogance. But now, her admiration has turned to pure, simmering annoyance as he looks on. She fumes that he reads unrelated books, yet still answers every question perfectly. With a final, frustrated huff, she turns away from the infuriatingly calm boy. Soma glances over, acknowledging he generally understands her frustration, but has other concerns. He reflects that after a week, the classes are irrelevant to his true purpose. His eyes fall upon a diagram of a labyrinth, his most promising lead yet. The book describes a place of regenerating monsters and powerful, sleeping magical treasures. He knows the academy was built atop this labyrinth, a key reason he enrolled. His frustration grows, as free access is only granted to older, middle school students. He resolves to find another way inside and begins to plot his next move. His search for answers leads him toward a grand, imposing set of doors. The heavy doors swing open, granting him access to a place of great knowledge. He finds himself within the academy's vast library, surrounded by towering bookshelves. While walking through the quiet halls, a sudden sound catches his attention. He spots Aina and Sheila on the stairs, who wonder what they just heard. Soma approaches them, remarking on their rare pairing as Aina says his name. He asks if they are searching for materials, and Sheila nervously mentions a grimoire. She confirms this is the new approach she has decided to take for now. Grimoires, she knows, are a type of magical tool used for learning magic. Found only in labyrinths, these rare tomes can only be used once or twice. Sheila hopes to find clues within the remnants of these ancient magical books. Aina asks what kind she seeks, and Sheila replies she will start with basics. She has plenty of time, she says, to carefully try things she never has. Within the vast library, Soma notes the lack of a suitable place for practice. Sheila opens a strange book, though Soma warns it might contain meaningless drivel. Aina and Sheila stare at the text. Aina admits that she cannot read it. She recognizes the legendary ancient divine script, a language thought to be unreadable. To Aina's absolute shock, Soma calmly states that he can read the text. Aina stammers in disbelief, but Soma simply confirms his ability to read it. The incredible revelation leaves Aina utterly speechless and overwhelmed with shock. Soma reads a mundane diary entry aloud, questioning if this is a magic book. Aina insists it must be, grumbling about the excessive effort of the script. He confirms the dull content, as Sheila correctly identifies it as a diary. Aina sighs in defeat, finally accepting the impossible truth about Soma's hidden talent. Soma still doesn't understand why his ability is considered so remarkable. Aina explains the script's mysterious origins, possibly from another world entirely. The concept of other worlds intrigues Soma, and Aina confirms they are known. She elaborates that visitors from other worlds sometimes leave behind new technologies. Soma learns of a famous hero from another world, a man named Iori Kenzaki. He then pivots, asking Aina what she knows of the Academy's hidden labyrinth. Soma directly asks if she knows a secret way for them to enter it. As an instructor, Aina is flustered by his blatant request to bend the rules. She explains that while there's no official method, there might be another way. Aina reveals the existence of little-known, unwritten rules within the Academy. While students are forbidden from the labyrinth, she explains there is one exception. One can enter by passing a special test with a supervising instructor's guidance. The person who administers this exclusive test, she reveals, is the headmistress. The next morning, two figures stand before the great, ominous labyrinth gate. Soma remarks that this particular shrine-like ruin is a new sight for him. The headmistress suggests the tense atmosphere is good for mental preparation. Soma wonders aloud if the headmistress truly has the free time for this. Hildegard angrily retorts that he should show more respect for her high station. He calmly notes her presence was helpful, since no one else could be found. She demands more gratitude, but Soma bluntly tells her not to get carried away. Together, they descend the long, dark staircase into the labyrinth's waiting depths. A single footstep echoes, marking their entry into the foreboding darkness below. Soma stood at the labyrinth's entrance, his focus sharp and unwavering. The headmistress explained the secret test as Soma limbered up for the challenge. She gave him one single, clear objective: reach the 10th floor. Soma considered her words, his sharp gaze betraying his analytical mind. He realized this was the qualification test for the middle school curriculum. She asked for his estimated time. He doubted it would take 2 hours. With the test officially beginning, Soma stepped into the darkened passage. A goblin lurked in the shadows, waiting to ambush the unsuspecting boy. But Soma's divine senses instantly detected the hidden, hostile presence. The creature sprang from its hiding place, its crude weapon raised to strike. In a flash, his blade met another foe from behind, cleaving it in two. He calmly identified the fallen monster as a simple goblin before moving on. He asked if he should be guarding her back from any potential ambushes. She told him not to worry, she would handle her own defense. They moved through the labyrinth, leaving a trail of defeated monsters behind. He climbed deeper into the dungeon, ascending one long staircase after another. His blade was a whirlwind of motion, effortlessly dispatching every new threat. The headmistress followed silently, observing his relentless, efficient progress. He noted their good pace, and she admitted his progress was remarkable. Hildegard then voiced a thought that had been nagging at her mind. She confronted him, asking why he spoke with such a peculiar tone. She immediately became flustered, realizing she was hardly one to judge him. She explained that her own past was different, justifying her manner of speech. She was more curious why he, a child, had never found her odd. Soma looked at her and asked a simple, disarming question about her gender. The headmistress was stunned into absolute, wide-eyed silence by his query. She stammered, demanding to know how long he had known her secret. He replied calmly that he had known from the very first moment. A memory of a dying beast surfaced as he asked if she was that dragon. Flustered, she questioned why he had acted so normally, considering everything. He coolly explained that since he killed her, he felt no lasting animosity. As she fumed, Soma understood this was the reason for her actions. Finally losing her divine composure, she yelled at him to be quiet. He quietly but firmly reminded them that his earlier question still remained unanswered. Soma analytically questions the dragon god's youthful form, noting he never saw a dragon like her. She explains her small body is because she is not even 50 years old yet. A flashback shows her true, colossal form as she recalls her former, immense size. She proudly declares that choosing this small body was a strategy meant to captivate him. With an energetic sparkle in her eyes, she calls her plan the ultimate appeal of Gapmo. Soma, utterly unmoved by her bizarre logic, responds with a single, deadpan "oh." He dismisses her theatrics, demanding to know what she truly meant by bringing him down. With a sly and knowing smile, she reveals her ultimate goal is to have children with him. Against a dark background of shock, Soma can only repeat his stunned, deadpan "oh." The dragon's true voice reminds him that he was the one who killed her, granting her wish. The girl counters that it's only natural to desire a child with her chosen partner. Soma realizes her female form was a deliberate choice for this purpose, leaving him flustered. He sweats, asking if she just accidentally revealed something crucial about his reincarnation. He confronts her directly, asking if she truly was the one who reincarnated him. She confirms it matter-of-factly, questioning why that would be strange at all. A memory of the dying dragon surfaces as Soma realizes the true meaning of her final words. She boasts that their meeting was no coincidence, as a former god, she made it happen. Soma raises a practical concern, asking if she can even bear children, since she isn't human. She confidently explains that as a dragonoid with a physical body, she can have children. The only issue, she notes, is waiting 500 years for her to mature, which annoys Soma. Her tone turns serious as she asks if he truly intended to grant her wish from before. She asks if he understood her deepest desire. He confirms it was the wish to use magic. He then reveals the core problem: he himself is unable to use magic, shocking her. He clarifies that this is precisely why he has been on his current quest. She panics, admitting she knew he was going to the labyrinth but was unaware of his reason. She declares her intent to seek him, to use her power to analyze his abilities. Soma agrees, and she steps forward, preparing to unleash her divine sight upon him. Her eye transforms, its pupil narrowing as she begins her godly appraisal of his soul. A flood of text reveals his divine powers, from God Slayer to Absolute Severance. The list continues, detailing the legendary names of his ultimate sword techniques. Buried deep within his abilities, she finally spots a magic special grade skill. She clutches her head in confusion, certain she granted him the skill and wondering why it fails. A system alert flashes violently, stating the skill is impossible to activate due to another's effect. She realizes with a jolt that a higher-level skill is completely overriding her gift. The source is revealed, his principle of the sword, the divine authority of the sword god. Its passive ability is absolute, nullifying any and all interference with his mind or body. She slumps in defeat, understanding that this divine protection is the very cause of his issue. She recalls how his original, skill-less appraisal must have been because the system couldn't see him. The kingdom's appraisal, a form of future sight, was rendered useless by his inviolable nature. She sighs, realizing the system could barely even register that he was a divine vessel. She looks downcast, concluding that he can't use magic, and that she is the cause. He asks how she is to blame, and she explains her gift was nullified by his own power. He calmly states that since nothing has changed, there is no problem, completely baffling her. He explains that simply knowing the reason for his inability to use magic is progress. He reassures her not to worry, as being reincarnated into this world is more than enough. The dragon god is visibly touched by his words, her eyes wide with heartfelt emotion. Her mind immediately leaps back to her original plan, declaring they should now have a child.